Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Spill the Tea, Lou. For those of you that have not figured it out by now, my name is Lou. I am joined by Kai, who did momentarily freeze on my screen, so I'm not sure if he's moving for you guys. He's back in action, but he froze when he took a sip of that water, so it was obviously ice cold. It froze him, but he's back. Thank you for joining. I'm hearing my voice from somewhere. There's so many windows. I've got rid of it. Excellent. So I should be gone. Oh, I am not gone. Why can I still hear me? Hold on. There we go. I'm gone. I'm gone. The noise is gone. Do you know when you hear your own voice and you're like, oh, honestly, who could genuinely listen to me speak? So first of all, thank you to Kai for being here.
I can never watch back my own videos.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
I don't like the sound of my voice.
Absolutely hate it. But so first of all, thank you very much to Kai for being here. Second of all, thank you very much to the guys in the chat for being here. Those who are here regularly, those who get on whenever they can, those who spend any time listening to my annoying voice. I very much appreciate you guys. I see our lovely Jenny is in the house. Mama Flossie's in the house. Guess is in the house. Dave Boy was here earlier. Dave Boy. So when I know I'm setting up on StreamYard, I like to set up a little bit early in the day because I know Dave when he gets a break from work, because sometimes he's working while I'm live, but he comes in early and he leaves a comment for everybody to see. And then he might pop in later when he gets a chance. Ray was also here earlier. I'm sure he will be back. Notorious is in the house. We've all the lovely people in the house today, Kai. But before I ask you anything, I am going to get Dave Boy's comment up because I know you'll enjoy it. Okay, so we'll do this before the Arsenal fans come in. So Dave Boy said earlier today, there he is. He heard me saying his name. He said, it's Arsenal on the attack. They have a scrum. It's turned into a maul. Try Arsenal. Sorry, I mean goal Arsenal. So he may or may not be referring to the technique they have on corners, Kai. What do you reckon?
Yes, I couldn't have put it better myself. Not gonna lie.
I'll tell you what, Everton are giving them a serious run for their money. See that Tarkovsky boy? Tell you what, let me have a word with him. I'll show him. But other than me threatening players on live streams, we are going to talk about actual football today. Woohoo! Now, I asked Kai to do this stream before the match, so he knew I wasn't just asking him to come on because they lost. And that's actually why I asked you in advance, because I was like, if they do badly, I don't want him thinking that's the only reason I've asked him on. So I asked him in advance, and he said, I hope we'll be coming on to talk about a win. And we are, but it's not yours, it's mine. Sorry. And at the point you said that, I was 1-0 down to Palace. So to be fair, that was a good turnaround for me.
Yeah, I probably jinxed it for myself there.
You might have a little bit. So you've heard it here first, guys. It was nothing to do with Arteta or Arsenal or anything scary. It was Kai put the juju on his own team, is exactly what happened. And 100%. Guess is correct and right. Do go give Kai a follow on Behind the Dugouts. I watched your match reaction. I had such a giggle because you were so mad. And I was like, oh, bless him. He'll have calmed down by later on.
Yeah, I mean, once you get the initial frustration, anger out, it goes away, you know.
Yeah, until you start talking about it again, and then you get I get mad all over again. But we are going to talk about you guys, but we're going to build up to it because there were other matches on the day. I know you guys were the one that's the most talked about, but we're going to talk about other things. You're just going to let you stew a little bit, you know, soaking the juices off it, and then we will talk about it. Aaron is in the house. Nice to see Aaron. All the lovely people. My live-in tax support is in the chat, just in case anything goes wrong. But there were other matches. So we're going to talk about some of the other things that happened because we're probably going to spend the most time on the Chelsea-Arsenal match just because of all of the ramifications it has throughout the league and all of the different things that might or might not happen as a result. Obviously, we do have some midweek games this week, which means Kai is going to be doing the predictor game with me, whether he likes it or not. So I'm glad he's excited.
I'm not predicting that one.
That's okay. We'll predict it for you. Not to worry, we've got a good crew. We love it. We love an owl prediction. And to be fair, notorious is Chelsea. So you actually got a Chelsea fan in the chat with you today. Sometimes you're on your own, but I know
it's been tough.
I know I'll back you. He's got your back, not to worry. But before we go any further, I actually want to go to what feels like a complete lifetime ago. I want to go back to Saturday. I want to go back to Leeds and Manchester City. I want to go back to the fact that Leeds should have had a penalty for a handball in the dying minutes of the match and didn't get one. And the fact that there was so much kerfuffle that there should have been a little bit of added time to the added time. Yes, Jenny, that's real eye notes. I believe that's real eye notes. I know we have some imposters sometimes, but I think that's the real one. But Daniel Farke ran onto the pitch, bless him, and he was a little bit mad. He got the red card before he was anywhere near. The referee had the red card out before Farke even got to him. But he since was asked about this. And you know what it was? I actually thought it was like a really good example of how the power can go to a referee's head. The manager of the team is entitled to ask you a question. He wasn't even anywhere near you when you got the red card out. You don't even know what he was going to say. So I just want to go to his response to this because he was asked about it in his post-match press conference. Luke is also in the chat. Lovely to see our Luke in the house. So let me do the thing where I show you what's on my screen because I didn't do that in advance because that is far too organized for me. So we've got her up. There we are. So he's actually a wonderful human. I love him. And the thing is, and I talked about this in my reaction to that match, he's not the type of manager that normally gets really incensed. He's generally quite a calm manager. So to see him and he did look quite irate, he looked angry, was quite unusual. It's not normally his way. So I was actually quite curious about what had happened that made him so mad. So I'm going to play this video. Let me know if everybody can hear it, and we'll go from there.
I'm not light like a butterfly. I don't look unbelievably cute and sweet when I jog. Yeah, I have to admit this. So for that, the lesson that I learned, I will never ever jog on the pitch again. But I don't think a red card should be shown us. Listen, I'm not.
I really like him. I don't look like a butterfly when I jog either, to be fair to him. I mean, but does this sound like a man that looked like he was going to absolutely lose the plot with the ref? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a perfectly legitimate reason. I wanted to get to the referee. I was trying to not draw out the distance, but I don't look like a butterfly when I run. So, I mean, I think that's quite fair. I think that's a very legitimate reason. Flossie said, everyone loves him. Everybody loves him. But I mean, there is more to the quote, to be fair. It's not all on the video, but I really love the video. So I wanted to play it for everyone.
That's the main part.
That is the main part,
That's
to be fair. That's the most important part. I mean, I really don't look like a butterfly. Jenny says, Lou, your laugh makes me laugh every time. Love it. Well, do you know what, Jenny? I love that because I spend so much time on this channel laughing. So I'm glad there's people out there laughing with me instead of at me. So I appreciate that, Jenny. Thank you very much. But the rest of what he said, so obviously he did then actually address what happened. And so what he said was, all I wanted was to ask why he did not add another 30 seconds or 1 minute. So I jogged over. Not one bad word, no flying arms, just jogging. I was asking why he did not add time for Aït-Nouri's yellow card, but his red card was out before I got there. He did also indicate that he had been told, do you know the fourth official that puts up the board for the extra time?
Yeah.
And he stands at the kind of where the manager's boxes are. He had told him, so the fourth official had told Daniel Farke there would be some extra time to the extra time for the yellow card to Aït-Nouri, and then there wasn't. So he was going over to ask the referee, why not? What I will say is I've watched the footage of him running over. He did look slightly angry. He did look a bit mad, but he is fair. Like, he wasn't going crazy. He wasn't screaming at him. Like, there was no need for the red card. There was no need for the red card. The referee just, you can't talk to me like that. Here's a red card. And I just thought, you know what? See if it's someone who does it on a consistent basis. If it's a manager, if it's a Jose Mourinho that you know is notorious for having a bit of a gob, being a bit, Daniel Farke is not known for that. I think it was really unfair and unnecessary, but I had to play the video for everyone. What did you make of the situation? Like, did you see him going on the pitch? What was your opinion on the whole shebang?
The main thing is that, like, common sense has left the game completely. And you mentioned it earlier, like the power that the referees had. They have gone a bit power hungry. I don't know if they're feeling a little bit insecure, or they want to show that they're big men, but the way that they brandish cards for ridiculous reasons, and this is one of them, right? The fact that he's not even been able to say anything yet, just because he may have looked a little bit of aggressive in his run. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, you've got to take into account the emotion that is behind the game regardless, but also Leeds, they want to stay up. They're not exactly out of potentially going down. They're doing well this season, don't get me wrong, but they're still in and around that point. So it is an emotional time for them because they want to stay up. There's a lot riding on every point, every game, and referees just think it's okay that they can just whip out cards whenever they feel like it. If they feel a bit sad, or maybe he's turned up and had a bad day at home and now he wants to take it out on everyone else, because that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
The amount of yellow cards that we see and red cards is ridiculous, and especially red cards because we get loads of them. So,
we're going to talk about your red cards. Don't you worry at all. Aaron is very kindly reminding everyone to please hit the like button. You will also see, guys, I have updated my banner scroller doohickey. We are on the road to 500 subscribers. Please join the Teacup crew if you have not done so already.
So we've changed it from cult now to Teacup crew. Okay.
Well, I couldn't put the Teacup cult on it. Imagine, I'd be banned. I actually typed in the Teacup cult, and then I was like, I can't put that in. That's why it's crew. It's another word that starts with C, because it was cult, and I changed it because I was like, I'll probably get myself in trouble, and they'll think I'm like soliciting people to literally join a cult, because let's face it, on YouTube, it's possible. Everything, yeah. See, there you go. It's a crew. It's not a cult. It's not a cult. Cult is a bad word. Aaron, cult. But yes, please do encourage your friends, your football friends, your work colleagues, people you don't like maybe, because, my voice can be a bit irritating. Please encourage them to subscribe. I would love to be able to make some stickers, because genuinely, you think I laugh a lot now. See, when I get a hold of these stickers that I can just make, honestly, I'm going to have the time of my life. There's not going to be any streams. The stream is going to be me designing the stickers. And we're moving on from football. But yes, please do, guys. I appreciate everybody who has done so already on a really, really genuine level. I can't believe there's so many of you. But we're very, very, very close to 500. And I would absolutely love to get there. But back to the football. That's my begging done for the stream. So back to the football. Let me see. What are we going to talk about first? Do you know what I want to talk about first? Let's talk about Brighton and Nottingham Forest, because they were the first match on Sunday, and they actually set a brand new record. So I want everybody to be able to see this brand new record that was set. So this is obviously from the Premier League page, which makes it a fairly reliable source for this kind of thing. The first time this season that 3 goals have been scored in the first 15 minutes. Gomez scores at 5:38, putting Brighton 1-0 up. Morgan Gibbs-White makes it 1-1 at 12:36. Danny Welbeck makes it 2-1 to Brighton at 14:21. Talk about a fast start to a game. Now, I did not watch this game. I'm not going to lie to anybody. Obviously, Manchester United were playing at the same time. I was not watching this. What I was seeing is every so often the notification pop up on the screen. Or do you know they put the little camera, like the little square at the bottom of the main screen? And then you can hear the cheering. And sometimes I didn't realize that the cheering was coming from the little pop-up screen. And I was like, what's happened? And I'm like, I don't see it. Why is the sound and the picture different? But it wasn't. It was these guys whacking the ball in the back of the net like ridiculously fast. Also, Dave Boy is issuing you a congratulations. You're getting more possession than Ash usually does. He means
no end product, Dave.
He means you're actually allowed to speak. To be fair, I do let Ash speak. I do let Ash speak. Ash speaks a lot. Me and Ash be live for 3 hours. Me and Ash were live for 3 hours on
Welfare
Friday.
check on Ash, people.
Yeah.
Check, please.
He's had a lie down since Friday. I give him a migraine. But what did you reckon to that result? Because obviously Nottingham Forest are one of the teams that are in the relegation battle, and Brighton had been on a real downward trajectory. Since I've done my video on Hertzler and Brighton, they've taken a bit of an upturn, and I'm not pleased. I mean, I made a whole video about it, and now they're like, haha, don't think so. Rude. So what do you think of that? Because I genuinely thought Forest were going to get something out of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I felt like Forest were going to win that game, but Brighton are a weird one. They are weird. I can't really. In seasons gone past, you sort of knew what you're going to get with them. Now, any manager that's gone into Brighton, I think more so with how they're set up and like their infrastructure and things like that, and how they recruit players. Any manager that's going in there that they've recruited for the team generally does the same as the previous one. But Hertzler's he has made a massive dip. Obviously, there's still quite a lot of games left, so it could change. He could win a bunch of games and find himself further up the table. But yeah, I never like playing Brighton, mainly because we've had so many players from them, and they always seem to beat us at the moment for some reason. But Forest, I thought, mainly because I wanted Forest to win to make Tottenham a little bit more. I'm not going to do too much on Tottenham because it's not like we did anything this weekend. But to make it a little bit more squeaky bum time for them.
Hear you, and they're going to arrive.
Yeah. Forest let me down a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I have to say I did. I thought Forest were going to do a job. I think given Brighton's recent form, as I said, they were that bad. I got to the point where I actually did a video on it. Like people, like the Brighton fans were calling for Hertzler to be sacked. And they just seem to have taken a bit of an upturn. But again, I agree with you. They're never a team I write off because I always think they just have something in them. There's always you have to watch. You can never write them off, I don't think. But they're having a really, really strange season. They're up and down a little bit. There you go. There you go. Gary's here. He heard you. I told you. They would hear you. Wait till you see. Gary's heard you. Shem is going to be here in a minute and you're going to be in big trouble. Streets has arrived. Streets, the other day when I asked you this, the chat wasn't working. The chat broke. Did you change this? This used to be black and now it's green. I'm right, aren't I? I'm not insane. Please confirm for me because the last time I had a stream the other day.
I was in it, yeah. I was typing away.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Disaster. Absolute disaster. And I thought it was a really good stream. I was quite pleased with myself. Oh, I was like, look how fair I've been to Arsenal, even though I hate them. And then YouTube hates me. Not only me, all the creators, horrible little people. Yes. Streets changed again. Excellent. Do you know what? Green, white, and gold are the Irish colours. So I like that one. That one's a good one. Yeah, he's trying them out. He's trying them out, friend. Keep it going. Keeps it interesting. Gives me something to talk about. Also, I'm not insane. Gary, what you missed was our friend Kai. Not saying mean things about you because his team wasn't very good at the weekend. So he's on his best behaviour. But what I want to do next is, you did mention Tottenham, And to be fair, I actually do have something to say about Tottenham. Jenny was also trying to comment. Do you know what, guys? I really appreciate the effort, because I was like, maybe there's just nobody watching because I can't chat. So I do appreciate the effort. It was supposedly a whole YouTube across the board thing where it was rejecting comments in English that didn't have emojis or something. They're always, see, when they update something, you always know when they update something because everything else breaks. So you can always tell. But I do, in fact, want to speak about Tottenham, who did lose 2-1 to Fulham, who are very, very, very much in a relegation battle. I'll be honest with you, if I was a Spurs fan, I would be starting to get a little bit concerned. I thought at first they were being dramatic. Now I'm like, actually, no, you need to be concerned. I would be concerned. This is 2 seasons in a row. The crisis specialist is like, what in the name of God have you done? Like, how broken are you guys? And he literally specializes in crises. But it got to the point where the actual official Premier League account was taking the mickey about. And I have to say, I think that's the line. I have to say, I do. I see you laughing, right? But I do think that's the line. And I often say, look, banter is banter, a bit of crack, a bit of fun, a bit of laughing. That's what football's about. I completely all of that. But the official, it's like when you're a parent, you can't admit to having a favorite child. Even if you do, you can't say it out loud, okay? Like the Premier League can't banter one of the teams. They like, if that's United, I'm fuming. Now, I have the Paddy Power X account, right? I think they're absolutely hysterical. They consistently take the mickey out of United, right? I don't really care because they banter everyone. That's what they do. Like that girl, Laura Kirk-Francis, her wee videos, she's absolutely hysterical. Again, she's always taking the mickey out of United. I don't care though, because that's what she does. The official Premier League account, though, you can't have that. That's ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. Imagine the right taking the mickey out of you guys washing your hands. You wouldn't be very pleased.
It's yeah, I get it. But it's
I see you trying to hold yourself in.
It is funny. Like it's real. You know, I mean, Gary, fair play to him. He was saying it weeks ago. We've been talking about it. It is very real that they are in this relegation battle, and they haven't got better since letting go of what's it, Ange, and I think the appointment of Tudor, Igor, I think it was not the right appointment. Neither was Frank.
I thought it was. I talked myself all the way into it. All the way. I like properly was like, no, he like specializes in this. He goes from team to team to do this. Like the man of the month. I'm one of those. I get like very hyped. I'm like a proper, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to anybody. This is how I am as a human being. I'm like a proper fan. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm very emotional. I get caught up in it. I'm one of those that's like, when something's good, it's the best thing ever. When something's bad, it's the worst thing in the world. I'm like that throughout life. Do you know them ads? And they're like really sad. And like people goes like, who falls? Me. I'm the one sitting crying watching these sad ads. I laugh. Do you know when the little Andrex puppy? Do you know the ads they do at Christmas? The sad ones. I actually sat. John Lewis. Oh, they make me cry. I am the target audience for all that stuff, right? I get very caught up in the moment, and I love that. I used to think it was something I didn't like about myself, but you know what? I absolutely love it because like it's a real roller coaster. I feel all the feels, okay? But so I 100% talked myself into the fact that Igor Tudor was going to come in and do an absolute madness with Spurs. I'm not even a Spurs fan. I don't care if they get relegated. It's no difference to me whatsoever. I genuinely couldn't care less one way or the other. And I 100% talked myself into the fact that he was going to save them completely. And now I'm like, oh, oops, got it wrong. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the managerial problem, right? It's the players. There's too many. I think there's too many players that have checked out already that don't care. There's a lot of players in there that probably don't even know what it means to be a Spurs player. Not that I'd want to know what that meant anyway, but there's a lot more than just the manager that's the problem. And they are, like, I'm looking at the games that they've got at the end of the season. I know we've got them coming up. Lord hope we beat them. But I can't really see any easy games, any easy points, even if they're like, when you'd look at it, you go, Wolves bottom of the table. I don't even know if they have Wolves, but you could pick up point. Even them, like, you can't even be looking at Wolves thinking you're going to get. There you go. So,
I mean, Forest's going to beat them.
Yeah, it's a tough. Like, I'm glad I'm not a Spurs fan, because I wouldn't want to be going through this right now.
I thought you were just going to stop. I'm glad. Full stop.
No.
Glad for them.
I've got to add that. I've got to add that little bit right at the end. But it's going to be tough for them.
Oh dear. Can I just say, Billy is in the house. Hello to Billy. And I did see our Sachin is in the house. Lovely to see Sachin. It's great to see you guys in the chat. Honestly, it really does. Like, it's really nice when you start to see all the familiar faces in the chat. It's like it's like a little crew. Wink, wink. But I do want to share this from The Athletic on the fact that the official Premier League account was taking the mickey out of them, because it's literally mental, to the point where, like, there's an actual article in an actual, like, media about this. Like, obviously we're looking at it on X, but The Athletic is like a real traditional media. So they said, and this is from Elias Burke. The Premier League's official X account has deleted a post which mocked Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Vicario, following conversations between the league and the club. The Premier League shared a clip of Vicario hoofing a free kick from his own half straight out of play during Spurs' 2-1 defeat at Fulham on Sunday, accompanied by the caption, "Just how the play was drawn up." The video itself included additional captions reading an interesting free kick from Vicario, along with a laughing emoji before the word "whoops," they're stealing my word, I say that for everything, and another laughing emoji as the video cut to Spurs head coach Igor Tudor on the touchline. According to reports, the Premier League deleted the post following a complaint from the club. Spurs did not respond when asked for comment by The Athletic. Vicario hasn't had the best of seasons. The Premier League picking on him is probably not going to help. And Sachin agrees with me. I agree, Sachin, you're correct and right. The lines between official accounts and banter accounts are thin. It was always going to happen with so many main media houses going in for fan content. And I think this is correct, whether I like it or don't like it. Now, I think it's wrong. I don't think the Premier League account should be doing it. I think they should at least be trying to appear professional. Everybody already thinks they're a pack of dopes, right? Everybody already thinks that, you know, they have the PGMOL who have to be the most incompetent referees in the world. I guarantee it, because I know the most competent, the top two at the moment are French, okay? So why don't we just get some of them? Can any of the French ones come over and help us out? Can they do a training course? Could we do like a 2-day training course where all of the English Premier League referees, the PGMOL, everybody goes over and they do a 2-day training course with these two French referees? They might learn something, okay? That's what I would do. Can you tell I used to be in charge of performance improvement plans? What can we do to make these idiots less stupid? So that's what I would do. I would send them to France. But people already think they're incompetent. They already think the refereeing is bad. You have the 115, which is actually 130 charges for City that hasn't been dealt with. Rodri was told that he had until the 18th, I believe, of last month to submit whatever it was after he said the referees were essentially corrupt, in not so many words. None of it's being dealt with. And then on social media, the most incompetent people in the world want to laugh at somebody else for not being competent. The Premier League is a joke. They're run. Like, honestly, I don't think they could find their own backsides with both hands. And they want to laugh at somebody else for messing up in their job. I mean, honestly, look on the inside first. Look at home before you look out. It's the literal epitome of don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. How stupid would you have to be Now it's funny. It is funny, as you said. It's really, and it's genuinely funny.
Well,
As I'm reading
it's
it, I'm
funny for the
laughing, but it's
19
also
other
wrong.
teams in the league. It's
Yes.
it's not funny for Spurs, but yeah, you're 100% right. They can't do their own job right, yet they're taking the mick out of other people, and their job is a lot worse because they can be the cause of people going down, points lost, just the game ruined. Like, we've said this before about VAR and stuff like that. Like, the idea of it is great. It can definitely improve. The implementation of it and the people we've got behind it are shocking. And I don't see it getting any better, not for a long, long time.
To be honest, they actually seem to be getting like worse, if anything.
The decisions are coming more controversial now than they were before we had it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like every weekend at the moment, there's some massive, not even a small one, a massive controversy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
But it's still funny.
It is a little bit. It is a little bit. But if it was my club, I'm absolutely lose the plot. But let's see what the guys in the chat are saying, and then we will go to the next thing. We are 30 minutes in, and we haven't even started on either of the matches or the predictions. So, obviously, we're right on schedule. This is how my streams end up so long. 30 minutes in, we've talked about nothing really.
No.
Loads of stuff, but you know what I mean? I mean, if I was to try and do... I did for like 2 of my videos. What do you call that thing? It's not like a bookmark, but you know, on the time it tells you timestamp. Yeah, I did those for 2 of my videos, okay? And then I tried to continue to do them, and then I realized it's impossible to timestamp my videos because this is how I talk. So you can't do. People just have to guess. Pick a time, click on it, and see what I'm saying. Surprise! But yeah, right. What are the gang saying? Streets is saying those drop points against Leeds and Burnley coming back to bite for sure. So that's about Spurs. Sachin says, I think Spurs will stay up, but they need to really take a hard look at what they want the club to be. And interestingly, this is exactly what Igor Tudor said. He was like, what do they actually want? Because this is ridiculous. Gary says, Sherwood would have been better when you look at the fixtures. West Ham have a really hard end and we need to rely on them. I can't see where our next point is coming from. And I can understand that. And you know what? As a fan, it's a really, really difficult position to be in as a fan. So I completely understand what that's like. I felt like that at points as a United fan where we just couldn't get it together at all. Last season, you know, to be fair. Notorious when I was saying about going to France for training because it would cost money. Sir Jim wouldn't like, well, that, and because it's not all English people, he wouldn't like me. Notorious, I'm not English either. I'm probably one of the immigrants he was talking about. I'm in the foreigner crew, but so the less said about that, the better. Wills is in the house. Lovely to see our Wills. Marv is here and gone. They keep making him do work. Okay, so Marv doesn't live in the UK. He lives abroad and there's a time difference. And so it's his work day right now. And they keep expecting him to actually work during working hours. I actually think it's a bit of a disgrace. I'm going to write an email to his boss. It might get him sacked. Might get him sacked, but he might be here more often. Everybody's saying hi. Sachin says, I'm seeing bear hugs, punches to the head, and I don't know what else. Completely ignored. It is actually in the gutter this season. Oh my goodness me. Literally, like, people are talking about the thump to the head, and I'm like, nobody's talking about the fact that he literally had him like in a vice grip. I get there's always a bit of jostling, there's always a bit of pushing and shoving. He had him in a vice grip. That's not the same. He literally couldn't jump off the ground because he was holding him so tight. That they're not the same. They're different. And anybody who's saying they're the same, I can't understand. They're not the same. Like, they're just not. So yeah, agree, Sachin, completely. Sachin also says the Prem dug a hole for themselves with those 115 charges. They're going to come out worse, irrespective of what happens. Completely agree. They can't win. They've put themselves in a lose-lose position. Gary says, if we were good enough to score, we would be safe, but we are a shit show. To be fair, at the moment, you are a bit. Dave Boy, bar is a joke. I'm a United fan. Cunha was fouled outside the area. Completely agree. And we are going to talk about our match in a wee minute, Dave Boy. I completely agree with this. And, we'll take it, but I agree with you. I'd be raging. See, if I'm Palace, I am fuming. So many times I look at myself and I'm like, see, if I was a fan of that team, I'm losing the plot. Thank God you can only support one team, because genuinely I haven't got the head, I haven't got the capacity to support more than one. I'd be losing the plot too regularly. I'd just be mental all the time. Flossie is reminding all of the lovely teacups to please smash the like button. And Guess says, I read too much history. The name Tudor still throws me off. Fair. Wills did do this. Very funny. He's put it in one of the group chats. Very good stuff. ChatGPT knows how to make far much better. I took a 2-minute convo for it to come up with 8 suggestions that are mostly easy to implement. Let me be in charge for a week. I'll show them what to do. First of all, nothing. We'll take care of it ourselves. You just sit there and relax, lads. Jenny is also working. Wink, wink. Good stuff. That there, Jenny, that is what do you call that? When you're like dedicated. Dedication. Jenny is more dedicated than Marv. Just putting that out there, people. What else? And Streets is saying it's still a red card on Lacroix, though. Do you know what? Since the lads are talking about it, let's jump into the Manchester United against Crystal Palace match, because that's what the people want to talk about, and we give the people what they want on this channel most of the time, unless I say no, because then when I say no, we don't give them what they want. It's a very easy system, actually. It's a good one I've got going on for me. But I have to
control.
I am a dictator.
I'm talking about power struggles earlier. I think I can see one right there.
Oh no, the red card would have been out before he was even on the pitch, let alone anywhere near me. Like, red, you're all off. Everybody out. There'd be nobody left, just me. I wouldn't even have the linesman left on the pitch. Sachin says, Palace were robbed too, did not think it was a red. So this is what everyone's talking about. So we are going to talk about it. Obviously, what everybody would like to talk about was the incident with Matheus Cunha. Nobody wants to talk about anything else. Everybody just wants to talk about Matheus Cunha and what he did. So you go first, and then I'll tell the people what I think, because I've not done a match reaction to this. So nobody knows what I think yet, other than what I've just said.
I was working, so I haven't actually seen this. So I'm going to be very interested in what people have to say. And to be honest, I've not really seen anything about it.
Really?
And my face is glued to the phone and the internet. So you all can enlighten me what you're talking about.
That's crazy. How have you not? Right. Do me a favor. Go, Gary.
I have to admit,
if you make
though,
the rules, please ban all talk on Spurs. Sorry, Brent.
I have to admit, after the Chelsea loss, though,
yeah,
I was on a different planet. So it could have been very well missed by myself. I've only just come back down to earth in the last hour or so.
And we're going to send you back off in a little while. Aaron says, I thought it was soft, but it wasn't the worst decision ever. Right, so I'm going to explain to you what happened, and I'm sure the chat will correct me if they feel differently about the situation. I would show you footage, except for I can't, because they will copyright me again. I haven't had any in like 3 days now. Quite proud of myself. 3 whole days that I've been copyrighted on YouTube, which is actually quite a feat the way they operate. But essentially, Cunha was being pulled outside of the box. They continued into the box. He was still being somewhat pulled, and then he rather theatrically inside the box threw himself to the ground. Okay, so they gave a red card because they said it was dogso. Denial of goal scoring opportunity, which has to be a red card. They then also gave a penalty because they said he was brought down inside the box. Okay. So just before I say anything further, Sachin says it was a dive in my opinion. The foul was correctly given, and since it was a pen, got upgraded to a red. If it was not a pen, would have been a yellow card at max. No. So it was 2 separate things. Dogso, denial of a goal scoring opportunity, is an automatic red card. You can't give a yellow for Dogso. So the red was given for Dogso. The penalty was given for a foul inside the box. So there were 2 separate things. okay? For me, and I said this earlier in the season, he was pulled. So Flossie there is saying it was a dive. Notorious is saying it was soft, but he milked it. So there was a foul. He was pulled. Like, you can literally see he's pulled, okay? So he was definitely pulled. There was a foul. For me, the foul happened outside the box. It started outside the box. It continued ever so slightly into the box. So for me, it shouldn't have been a penalty. It should have been a free kick. We've seen one of those earlier in the season. It is escaping me which teams it was because I've watched so many matches this season. But what was given in that match earlier in the season was that it was a free kick because the foul started outside the box. Therefore, it's a free kick, not a penalty. What I would say is the red card I agree with. So I would have given a red card and a free kick, not a red card and a penalty. Because he was going to be through from the position he was in and where all the other players were on the pitch. I believe it was a clear goal scoring opportunity, especially for a player like Cunha. So I think the red has to stand. I do think he was theatrical. I do think he milked it. I do think he put a bit of whipped cream on the top of it. But there was a foul. And if he's put like that anywhere else on the pitch while running forward with the ball, say it's not on the edge of the box, it's in the midfield, and he's running through with the ball, and he's pulled like that, even if it's only like a little bit, a foul is given anywhere else on the pitch. So to me, it is a foul. I do think he milked it. I do think he went over the top. He definitely threw himself on the ground. But I would have given the red and a free kick rather than a penalty. Ray is saying if a foul continues inside the box, it should be a pen though. I would say two things. So earlier in the season, when a foul continued into the box, they give it as a free kick because it started outside the box. So if we want them to be consistent, then those decisions should be the same. But also, second of all, I think he was fouled outside the box. Inside the box, I think, is where it gets questionable and he gets a bit theatric. So I think probably what the initial foul outside the box, I think, was real. By the time it gets inside the box, I think he's a bit theatrical with it, would be my take. But I can see, like, the whole chat, nobody agrees with anybody. Everybody's saying different things. I think, actually, if he had been less theatrical about it, he would have had more credibility. But also, I saw earlier, and this is a point we've made before, let me see. Ekatike got fouled the other week and stayed on his feet, wasn't awarded a penalty. Players need to go down. And we've spoken about this before several times on the channel because Patrick Dorgu is very honest, bless him. Now, obviously, he's injured at the moment, but he was being given a penalty before and he went up and told the referee, no, that wasn't a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. He didn't foul me. And bless him, he was so honest and he got nothing for it. We saw this season, it was a Manchester City player, literally stood on the back of Dorgu's leg, like stamped on the back of his leg, and he just got up and got on with it. So there was no card. There was no foul. It was a City player, literally stood on his leg, and he got nothing for it because, bless him, he just got up and carried on playing. So I agree with Aaron. The referees have set the precedent that the players have to exaggerate because if they don't get anything. If a player is honest, in this instance, Ekatike, he got nothing for it. Whereas if Ekatike had went down from this foul, he probably would have got a penalty. So I agree with the people saying it was theatrical, but I also think we have created that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've just watched the foul.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem we have is the inconsistency on what is deemed too much contact and what is deemed enough. When you take the contrast of a hand on a shoulder, which that's what it was against Cunha, which to me is not enough contact, but was deemed a foul. And then you've got, for instance, our game, a player literally full hugging the player on the corner, but that's not deemed as enough contact for a foul.
What I will say is I thought that was a penalty too. I thought
But
your
that's what
one
I'm
should have.
saying.
So I thought,
And that is where the inconsistency comes in the game. Now, we also talk about the fact that it's carried onto the box and it's a foul because it's carried onto the box. But how many times do we see in the middle of the park where a player will get fouled and he'll continue going and get fouled again, but then they bring it back for the initial foul? So why is the foul carried on into the box and they give the last foul for the penalty, but then in the middle of the park, they will bring it back to the initial foul, where the first contact was taken? So again, more inconsistency, more up in the air about the rules. That is the biggest problem with the refereeing in this decision. They've got the book, right? They've got the book and how the rules should be implemented, but they seem to just make up when they decide to use it.
Yeah. And I think as
now,
well,
for me, the
when
player,
people feel different as well, I do think.
Yeah, well, of course, if it goes for you, you love it. If it goes against you, of course, you're going to moan about it. But it is very inconsistent, and this is not this. We've seen it the whole season and seasons past. It just seems to get more inconsistent as the game's gone on. I mean, I think they even mentioned it in the game, which for me is crazy, right? So there was an instance with Rice where the cross, of course I'm going to talk about Chelsea, but the ball's coming from the corner. He's moved his elbow up and it's hit his arm. You can't tell me he hasn't moved his arm up there, right?
100%.
And even the commentator comes out and says, if that was in the Champions League, that would have been a handball. But because it's the Premier League, it's not. How can you have two different rules for the same game? It's football. Doesn't matter what competition you're in, it's still football. Yet the rules are different. To me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, I can't remember if it was you that I was talking about this on stream with, but I'm quite into the MMA. I love the MMA. I really, really enjoy it. But in the MMA, they have unified rules. So across Bellator, UFC, across all of the different bodies involved in MMA, they're called unified rules. They all, even though they're different bodies, they operate under the same rules. So that's why I think it should be in football. That would be my. You laughing at me? I can see you laughing there.
But it's right though, isn't it? It should be unified. I don't get how you can have separate rules, separate competitions. It doesn't make. How do you build consistency? How do you build a rule book that you can stick to, where say you're a referee this weekend, you're doing the Premier League, and midweek you're doing the Champions League, you have to change your whole rule set because it's different rules for different competitions. There's definitely a lot, like you said, MMA, where you can look at other sports going, well, shouldn't we take obviously not the rules, because I don't want to see people punching up people on the pitch, but you know what I mean, but take the understanding of the rules in a better way. It's great. And football has now become so much about talking about how bad the refereeing is and how bad decisions are going. Every weekend, I saw Flossie saying that every weekend there's another, and there'll be another one on midweek, and there'll be another one next weekend. Just doesn't stop.
Every time. And to be honest, I said this the other day, I actually watched the Bournemouth-Sunderland game, and Sunderland should have had a penalty, right? Bournemouth shouldn't have won that game. Sunderland should have had a penalty. Absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. But based on what you've seen on the two separate things, so do you think it was a denial of a goal scoring opportunity? Or do you just think there was nothing in it, nothing should have been given?
I think a free kick. Well, you can't even say that because the rules are the rules. The foul's continued into the box, so it is a pen, regardless if you like it or not. Do I think it was a denial of goal scoring? I don't know which player it was, but there is a player in the shot that could potentially make a cover, and you can also argue that the fact.
But it doesn't say denial of a goal; it's denial of a goal scoring opportunity. And I do believe every time you're on an attack.
Yeah, but every time you're on an attack, it's a goal-scoring opportunity.
No,
not a clear one, but it's still an opportunity to score a goal.
No, you're going way the extreme now. There was one United and one Crystal Palace player coming into the box, and they're kind of the far side of middle, not by much, but the far side of middle. If Cunha goes around that player, absolutely 100%, he has taken a clear on-target shot on goal. The other player isn't getting him.
Yeah.
That's where for me.
We've also seen times where they a little bit further back, and albeit that this was in the box, so the likelihood of him getting a shot away in an instant is quite high. You're probably talking about 99.9% of the time he's shooting in that position. But we've seen many times where the fouls occurred a little bit further back, and there is a player that it's not right next to the incident, but is there that could potentially make a recovery run. But
that's my point. I don't think that player.
You don't think he would have come around?
No. I think there's way too much distance, and I think he's not getting to Cunha before Cunha gets to the goal. Cunha needed
what
another
happens
2
if
or
that
3
player?
steps.
So what happens in this instance? So Cunha gets past him and he gets into that shooting position. Dean Henderson comes out of the goal to close down the angle to make it more difficult for him to shoot. And that player, rather than recovering to go towards the ball, goes behind Dean Henderson to block the ball at the goal. Could he have not done that? Because I think he could. He was in the box at the time. You don't think he would have thought in his head that maybe I should try and protect the goal?
I think
rather
that's
than
quite far-fetched, to be honest. I think that's really far-fetched.
He's in the box, though.
He's away over the edge of the box. It takes Cunha 1-2 steps to take the shot. The guy has to take like 20-30 steps to get to the goal. It's not the same. And I don't think
but if he closed down the angle, makes Cunha hold off a little bit. And I don't think if
it was Chelsea, you'd be arguing that.
No. Of course I wouldn't.
But that's my point. So I hold the same kind of point regardless of who the team is. I don't do the point score, and I don't do if it's Chelsea I think this, if it's United I think that. My opinion is my opinion regardless of who the team involved is.
It was a penalty.
To me that was a goal scoring opportunity.
So red card is justified.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have made any difference if it was a free kick or a penalty, because it would have still been a goal scoring opportunity in either position. So the red card would have stood. I think the more controversial part is, should it have been a pen?
Yeah.
By the letter of the rules, yes. But in terms of where they implement those rules elsewhere on the pitch, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So,
and that's it. I think for me, the red card is absolute. It's absolutely a goal. See if there was more players in the box. See if the player in the box was closer to the goal. Your scenario has more credence. But no, I think a player stood on the edge of the box or only coming into the box, because I watched, obviously, it live. And then Cunha takes 1-2 steps around that player. His shot's gone. There's no way the player on the other side of the box is getting to the goal in the time the Cunha shot is. So no, I think it was a denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity. And I think particularly with the player that it is, and I have to say, I think if it's like Dallo there, I'm probably not fighting so hard for Dogso, because I'm like, Dallo probably would have missed it anyway and skied it. Do you know what I mean? But Matheus Cunha, he's taken. Do you know what I mean? He's taken that. So yeah, but I understand why people feel it's harsh. As I said, I would have been happy with the free kick in the red. But I do understand why people feel that it's harsh. And I think he made it worse by being more theatrical, because then people feel more hard done by, because you can see it was theatrical. But also I think the player feels they have to do that or they don't get anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, it's similar to what you're saying about, if it was your team, would you still moan about it? It's the same thing. If it was your player that was doing it, you wouldn't be so harsh on it. And unfortunately,
I would. If one of my players did that, I'd flip my lid.
But that is the game now, and that is because of the way, the way that football is, the way that the dark arts is taught to all players throughout their youth and all the way through, to buy what you can to give your team a leg up. It's not great to watch, but it is what every team does. There's not one team that doesn't do it. In some instances, other teams will do it more than most.
Yeah,
but it is just what it is.
Now, let us see what the gang have to say, because we do have other matches to talk about. You trying to pick on my team, thinking I'm going to get distracted. But Guess says, and Guess is the United fan. Guess says it always feels a lot when there's a penalty and a red card, and I do think that's fair. Yeah, well, that's what I know. Flossie has a comment coming up here, but we'll get to that in a little second. Ray says, "Oh, did I read this? If a foul continues in the box, it should be a pen." I did read that. Let me see. Sachin says Gabriel and Cunha should have been booked for simulation in the last 2 weeks. And the thing is, I don't like simulation. I don't like the exaggeration. I don't like the theatrics. I don't enjoy it. But I always think Patrick Dorgu is a prime example of when you're honest, you get nothing. A City player literally stood on his leg and nothing was done because he didn't complain. If he had rolled around the floor, guaranteed that could have been a red card for violent conduct, because there's no reason to stand on a player's leg when they're lying on the ground. None whatsoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was honest and got nothing. If he'd rolled around a bit, the opposition might have gotten a card. And I think I don't like the simulation. I don't like the theatrics, but I think they've been forced into it, which becomes the problem. Let me see. Flossie says, what happened to double jeopardy? And I think that's why you have to say it's 2 separate incidents. The red card was for the dog so. The penalty was for the foul. I think that's what I mean. They didn't give a penalty and a red card for the foul. They gave 1 and 1. But what Jenny is saying, and what Flossie's getting at there, is obviously it feels like double jeopardy because it's technically the same incident. And I'll be honest, they make the rules very grey. They bend them whenever they want, don't they? Really?
Yeah, I mean the pen has no implication of the reason the red card is. The red card would have come regardless of if it was a pen or a free kick, because it's the same thing. But yeah, it's hitting a wounded dog while it's down again. It's not. Yeah.
It feels mean.
Is what it is. Yeah.
Aaron says, I've not got a problem with players letting the ref know they have been fouled, which is kind of the other side of the argument there. Street says, if he didn't throw himself to the ground, it's a robbery regardless. He was being pulled and stopped from scoring. And that's what I mean. I don't think it was super bad, but he was pulled. That is a foul, and he was in on goal. So to me, that's, whether it's harsh, whether it's not, that's what it is. But let me see, what else are we talking about? Oh yeah, I see. We've got some other topics going on in the chat, and they're not ones I'm getting into on a live stream. Dave Boy, Gabrielle booked last week for hitting the deck from a feather dusters. Sachin says players need to go down but not dive at every instant. It will just worsen the football. And I do agree with that, to be fair. I don't really like it, but I understand it. Mohammed says, switch from the telly to the laptop. Is the topic referee mediocrity? Isn't it always? Isn't it always? Notorious says, Chelsea don't get decisions. Everything we do is considered aggressive. And we are going to get on to you guys. So what I might do is keep that comment to come back to, because I think it's very relevant to the cards that you guys are getting. Let me see. Aaron says, I like how they somehow said it wasn't a handball for Rice because he was busy fouling a player. Also thought that was interesting. Like he literally raises his arm up in a completely unnatural position to hit the ball with his hand. How that wasn't a hand? Like,
I don't think my elbow has ever reached this position for any reason in my entire life.
Like there's just no reason, none whatsoever. Absolutely mental. Let me see. Dave Boy says, I don't know how Chelsea didn't get a couple of penalties against Stoke yesterday. Sachin says, the handball justification is the most hilarious one I have read this season. What are we saying? Mama Flossie says they brought VAR in to stop all the controversy. I can speak. I can do it. Yes, after every weekend, VAR decisions is all we talk about. And, that's it. And it's kind of what you were saying there, Kai. We end up speaking more about the decisions than we do about the actual football, which is just very, irritating.
Yeah. And don't you feel like back in the day when we didn't have VR and referees were making, because it weren't like they weren't making poor decisions. They were making poor decisions. But they didn't get as much stick as they do now, because people know that the reason VAR is to stop these decisions. But now it's been so forced. Yeah. People are like, well, we're just going to rinse it. We're going to take the mick out of you even more because you're not doing your job. Now you have technology to help you.
It's like you've literally brought this thing in to help and you've made it worse. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I completely agree. Jenny says that Rice call was so dodgy. And Dave Boy says, keep talking, Kai. You're up to 20%.
Lou said I'm only allowed 25%, Dave, so I've got
That's
5% left.
Let me see. What else are we talking about? Sachin says, I personally rate Champions League refs. Are they harsh? Maybe. They're hella consistent though,
Yeah.
which to be fair is what we keep calling out for. No Man's Sky Clippy says, whether it's a penalty or not depends whether you like Cunha or not, in my opinion. Every attacker is going to dive the moment he feels contact inside the box. To be fair, that's absolutely correct. All of them are going down. Everybody. It was the fact, what it was the dramatic sort of flop, like he was belly flopping into a pool. I think that it was the way he did it was just terrible. But
it's a form of acting, overemphasizes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think he just went a wee bit too far. Sachin, yes, the Burnley-Brentford referee decisions were absolutely horrendous. Now, I do a video. I don't stream late on a Sunday. On a Sunday, I go live at 12:30 and I review the Friday, Saturday games before the Sunday games kick off because my brain can't retain that much information all at the same time. So I did a video on Sunday at 12:30 speaking about this because I watched, oh my God, not only one of them, I think both of the disallowed goals were a joke. Did you see these?
I saw, was it the Ashley Barnes one at the end of the game?
And then there was another one. I wrote the notes down here. Have I got them? I literally have to do it and then dump it out of my brain. But no, I did a whole, I wonder if I still have them here because I had a screenshot from the supposed offside. But actually, excellent, Sachin, excellent, right? So one of them was a supposed handball that wasn't a handball. So one of them was offside that wasn't offside. But one of them was a handball that wasn't a handball. So it came in. So it kind of is, they're on the edge of the box. It's sort of pinging around a little bit. And then it comes over and it hits him. But it hits him here. You know, on like your hip, the front of your hip. But his hand is by his side. It hits the front of his hip. He controls it and then scores. And they said after about 6 minutes of examining it, they were like, oh, that's a handball. It wasn't. It didn't hit his hand. And even if it had, his hand was in a completely natural position at his side and it came to him from about 2 foot away. He had no chance to move even if he wanted to. It was absolutely not a handball. But they disallowed that goal for that handball. And then you go to Declan Rice, who's like this in the air, and that's not a handball.
Well, I swear we had one against Leeds the other week where it's hit his hand, and they didn't give it. And they said, well, it's natural. So again, inconsistency.
Yeah. The goal should never be ruled off. Never. Like let me see if I can find it. I think I removed it. Because I bookmarked so many things. I had a screenshot of where it hit him. Have I removed it? I have the offside. I still have Pep pulling Arteta off the Premier League trophy. I moved it. Give me a second and see if I can find it. Because it was a really good still. You could actually see the gap between his hand and the ball. Like there was actually like space in between them. There was air. You could see that they didn't touch. But let me see. Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time because I absolutely 100% literally right now. Let me see. Oh, let's turn the sound off or they'll copyright me. Horrible little gits. Right now. Now, I'm obviously not going to be able to hold on. Let me see. I've got it. Right. Share this tab. It's a still because obviously I can't play the stupid thing. Let's take this down. And what I'll do is I'll try and zoom in a little bit so you guys can. It is. It's zoomed. Okay, that's as zoomy as I can get. But so So you can see up here on the left side, he's here, right, in the middle. See these players slightly to his left. That's where the ball was before it goes towards him. So it's pinging between these players on his left-hand side, and it kind of falls out from them and goes towards him. Now, can you see the trajectory of it going towards his hip there then in the picture that kind of it's him in the center? And you can see the gap between the ball and his arm, okay? So look where his arm is, completely down by his side, in the most natural position it could be in. It's come at him from very close proximity, and it clearly hits him more towards the front on the hip. It's not coming at his side. It doesn't hit his hand. So honestly, it was just such a horrendous decision. Horrendous. And then you see the Declan Rice one. No handball.
Which
no
is
handball.
so blatant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, can you see there what I'm showing you a still image, and when you see the video, it's always a little bit different. But I mean, as I suppose a first impression, because you hadn't seen it, what would your take be on that? Obviously, you're sort of somewhat guesswork, but just a gist.
Yeah. I always thought they were supposed to give the advantage to the attackers anyway. You know,
They seem to have forgot that rule.
Yeah. I don't like the handball rule. I don't like how ambiguous it is. I don't like how inconsistent it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do when you've got Muppets in charge, I guess? Always going to get ridiculous decisions.
Very true. But just as it was brought up, great point by Sachin bringing that up, because the referee in that match was completely terrible, 100% terrible. What else are we talking about? Because I want to get through the guys' chats, because then obviously we want to talk properly about the Arsenal and Chelsea match, and then we have to do our predictions. But you know what? So far, we're more or less on track. We're pretty on track. We're doing well, Kai. We've got it. We've got it in the bag. What else are we doing? Aaron was saying about the Cunha one, if that was on Salah, I'd be asking for a pen and a red card. So at least Aaron is being very honest in the chat. What else are we saying? It's just, obviously you guys have got some conversations going on, so I don't want to read out the middle of somebody's conversation. Henderson is still there. It was not a pen, but I can understand why you would defend it though, Lou. I said it wasn't a pen. So that's all I can say to that. Ray is here and says, for me, a pen and a yellow would have been a fair decision, whatever the rules say.
Yeah.
I think the rules need updated.
Do we want fair or do we want consistency?
Yeah.
Because out of the rules being consistent, what happened was correct.
Yeah.
But are we arguing, it was not fair because they got hit with the penalty and then they got hit with a red card too? That's not. Yeah, I'd rather consistent than fair.
I think what we want is consistent, but if the rules are good and they're applied consistently, then it will be fair. I think the problem is the people applying them are terrible, and the rules actually don't seem up to scratch anymore. It looks like the rules need to be reviewed and updated, and then the referees implementing them also need for extra training. So I think the whole thing, it just isn't fit for purpose anymore is the problem.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. What else are we talking about? Sachin says, it makes me respect Haaland more. He gets so many mad fouls on him, but never goes down. But again, you'll see then that he's enormous. He's like, I actually love the kind of the back and forth between him and Dan Burn, because they were both pretty, they're both pretty big guys, and the referee sort of let it go, which I quite liked. And there was nothing, I think, too over the top from either of them either. I thought it was good. But yeah, you will see Haaland get fouled more though, because he doesn't go down. So players know, well, they're going to get away with a bit more if they go for him. So, you know, I do think that's a good point as well.
Some players enjoy it, don't they? They enjoy especially big lump strikers. They enjoy the battle.
Yeah, 100%. Will says, that's it. Too many ambiguous rules regarding what is and isn't a foul. Nail on the head, Wills. 100%. Dinesh is in the house. Welcome, Dinesh. Love to see you in here. Nice to see you back in with us. What else are we talking about? Dinesh says having VAR is better, but they don't use it properly, which is, we have said that as well, to be fair. What else are we talking about? Sachin says, if you want to see proper usage of VAR, German League is a good example. There you go. Send them 2 days to France and 2 days to Germany, sort themselves out. But we do need to update the rules as well, because it's hard to implement rules when they're not fit for purpose either. So it's probably a bit of everything. Jenny, I'm with you. I hate that we have to spend so much time on the referees, and it's a pain in the backside, because what you want to talk about is the football, and what you end up talking about is the decisions. Mohammed says, thank you for talking about it, Lou. Referees don't care when they're mediocre. Well, that's because they get paid the same, don't they? Let me see. No Man's Sky Cliffy says, I have just conducted extensive analysis on the 0.35 speed and zoom in, and I can say that the penalty was earned, not given. Cunha stayed on his feet, and with Lacroix just... What is he? Oh, we've got
Feels
an
like
updated.
there's a part 2 coming. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got an updated one without the typo. Cunha earned that pen. He stayed in contact just enough to get inside the box. Fair enough. Can you guess who No Man's Sky Clippy supports? But let me see. And Dave Boyce says, remember when they said VAR would stop all this? Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Oh, the wrestling video. It's gone. I've unticked that one. I should have kept that one. It's like WWE wrestling, but it's like, this is what it looks like when I think I had it for the Everton game inside our box. Notorious. They forgot to install the dive program on the robot. To be fair, that's funny. That is quite funny. But I'm sorry, Kai. We have put it off for as long as we can possibly put it off for. It is time to talk about your team. Now, we're going to start with obviously the only thing that people want to talk about in this match. So when I watch a match, right, I make notes of the things that I think might be... Oh, yeah, 100%, Jenny. I actually completely agree with your comment. Absolutely 100%. So don't worry, I'm not offended. But I take notes when I watch the games, right? I always take notes and I write things down, what might be talking points, things that I think are of interest, Oh, my trousers have got stuck on my top. That's good. Do you know the strings? Got it. And the strings that dangle from the tracksuit bottoms, but these ones have like little metal bits on the end, and my cat chewed on one of them, which made it a little bit pointy, and then my top caught on it. So that's what it's like to live in my house. But anyway, just so cool. I'm so cool. I can work computers. I can, say cool things. I can have cats that eat my clothes. What can I say? I'm just unreal. But I make lots of little notes, things that are important, things I didn't like about the match, things that I think are, might be worth talking about when I'm doing my match reactions. Without fail, I forget everything that I've seen and everything that I've written down. One incident happens and everything else goes out the window. So, since people want to talk about the red card, let's go straight in with the red card. Well, Dave Boy says, unlucky Kai, Stoke have got more experienced wrestlers. So, I know what your take is.
Rice had a touch of the Cenas there, wasn't he? Nobody could see what he was doing.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching when it wasn't given. Now, what I have seen people argue is that, well, you scored from the corner right after that. So people are like, well, it's not a robbery because if you got the penalty and scored it, you wouldn't have got the corner and scored it. So the amount of goals is the same. My thing is, it's the principle of it. I don't think you were robbed because I agree. It's 1 goal and 1 goal. You wouldn't have had more than 1 goal in either scenario. In fact, maybe the penalty gets saved. Do you know what I mean? However,
Cole Palmer taking it. Not a
I mean,
chance.
you know what I mean? So you actually might have been better off the fact that just got the corner and scored it. But it's not the point. The
Yeah.
point is that it was a blatant, I mean, one of the most blatant handballs we've seen all season. And even before that, he's wrestling. I mean, he has this guy in a vice grip. He couldn't move. What is your take on the whole thing? For anybody who hasn't seen your match reaction, give us the rundown for everything.
Yeah. Before we delve into like the decisions and the wrestling and stuff like that, I'm not going to sit here and use that as an excuse as to why we lost that game. Because the only reason we lost that game was because we've got a bunch of muppets on that pitch that are immature, that can't shut their mouths. You know, the Pedro Neto, the whole reason he got the red card was because he couldn't shut his mouth in the first place and got booked for dissent. So and fair play to Razinha. He's come out, he's owned it. He's said, you know, we are the problem. We make our own problems. And it's 100% true. Do I think Arsenal were better than us on that day? No, I don't think they played better than us. What they did is they did what they needed to do to get the win. Are we playing well enough? Absolutely not. Are the players and the structure and the setup helping us? Absolutely not. But there are some decisions, because the Rice one was the big one. And again, yes, we scored. And though we scored, we didn't actually score it. Arsenal scored it for us.
True.
So, but if I have to pick, would I rather Arsenal scoring an own goal or maybe Cole Palmer taking a penalty and scoring and getting his confidence up so maybe he plays a little bit better in the game? I'd rather take that option.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that was the only time there was grabbing. There was, you know, rough and tumble in the box. They were doing it the whole game, all the time. And there was deemed that it was okay contact, which is crazy. It is crazy and lack of consistency. But I don't want to go too much into the refereeing decision because I feel like we spent a hell of a lot of time.
No, it's the questions that we have. We've actually spent more time talking about referees than any part of football. But the reason I rolled my eyes a little bit when you said that wasn't because of the refereeing. It was because of the wrestling. Like Tarkowski in our match against Everton literally shoved Lenny Yoro into the back of the net, right? Tarkowski gets a yellow. So does Yoro. Yoro was the one pushed into the back of the net. He's not doing anything. He's shoved into the back of the net. And because the referee can't just stand on business, Yoro actually got a yellow for being shoved.
Yeah.
So I think it's gone too far now. Deal with it.
And yeah, it is literally becoming ridiculous. Like I'm all for, like, I prefer the game being a bit rougher, a bit, you know, I don't mind it, but then there has to be some kind of line. And I'm sorry, they were crossing that line on multiple occasions in that box to the point where it's changed from football and it has become wrestling. They've used the dark arts. They've gotten away with it. Fair play. They won the game. But I'm not sitting here saying that if we got a penalty or they were a little bit harder on the decisions with the corners, maybe they wouldn't have scored two. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is we had some sustained pressure on them in the game, which we failed to capitalize on. We had stupid decisions from players that got us a 9th red card of the season. 9.
Yes, I do know it's 9. I have something to share with you on this because I thought you might mention the fact that it had been 9 so far this season. So let me just bring this on the screen for you guys. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. So again, this is from the Sky Sports Premier League official page. Pedro Neto's dismissal against Arsenal means Chelsea have now received the joint most red cards by a team in a single Premier League season, and they still have 10 games to play. Now, I did a video on this before Christmas. I think you guys might have been on six red cards at that point, and I could see the trajectory. And I did a video on what was the most red cards ever received on this. I did a whole video on reds, yellows, penalties, the whole lot. And I didn't actually think you were going to hit it. I thought it was an interesting topic, but unlikely to actually be matched. Also, I gave, because you've got a red card in the previous match, a different player got a red card in the previous match. And after that, when I said, well, look, I understand Chelsea have had a lot of red cards this season, but that was the first one under Liam Rosenio. All of the previous red cards had been under Maresca. And then Rosenio come in, and it did actually seem to calm down for a number of weeks, to be fair. And then you got that one last week, and it's almost like that sort of triggered something. And now the following match, there's another one. So I was like, at first I was like, you can't really hold it against Rosenio that they were getting so many red cards under Maresca. But the fact that it's now gone back-to-back games with red cards, you are starting to go, well.
It's like I said, it's immaturity. It's they can't seem to handle the emotion when the game is up against them. You know, you've got a few decisions going against you. Things aren't going the way that you want. You're frustrated because you can't break down a low block, whatever it may be. And then they seem to just capitulate. And I've just seen a comment. I don't know if you can bring it up, from No Man's Sky Clippy, on the about the Chelsea players. Yeah. So I agree with that. You know, what the problem with Chelsea, it's not the manager, it's not the players, it stems from the top 100%. However, however, I do want to caveat that on the red card situation in particular. I just want to give a list of the players that have got red cards this season, right?
Oh, yes.
Robert Sanchez.
It's a long list.
Yeah, it's a long list. So strap yourselves in, grab some popcorn, get yourself a drink, because we'll be here for a while. Robert Sanchez, 25. Trevor Chalobah, 26. João Pedro, 24. Malagusto, 23. Liam Delap, 21. Moises Caicedo, 24. Marc Cucurella, 26. Wesley Fofana, I want to say he's around 25. Pedro Neto, around 25. None of them are kids.
No.
Not one. The players that are picking up the red cards are not the kids.
No, it's the ones that should know better. And Notorious is a great point here as well. Funniest thing, in our house, Angry Man Enzo is one of the two that hasn't been red carded, which again is mental.
It is, but then you look at it, right? So Pedro Neto got the red card. Yeah. Maybe about 5 minutes later, Enzo Fernandez gets booked for dissent. In the same game where he's just witnessed his own player get red carded because he picked up a yellow card for dissent initially, because otherwise he would have just got a yellow card for that tackle. And he would have been on the pitch still.
I think that would have been discussed. I think if he hadn't, I know it was given as a second yellow, he scissored him. He scissored him, and it was kind of from behind. I think if he hadn't already been on a yellow, if it was just his first yellow and that tackle went in, I think VAR would have looked at it for being a straight red. I'm not saying it would have been given.
Yeah,
I definitely think it would have been looked at.
It's still one of those occasions where it could have been. But
either or.
It's, to me, I wouldn't have seen that as a red card. I would have seen it as a very, very hard yellow. Definitely bridging on the edge, but I don't think it was red card.
When they're orange like that, they can go one or the other. The fact is, though, we put the referee in the position where it was definitely at the minimum a yellow 100%. But he said at the time he wasn't aware that he was on a yellow card already, which I thought was really, really interesting. Let me see. Have I got it here? Have I moved it? So I want to take a look at this, because he has come out and said, I didn't know I was on a yellow card. And I think what he's implying is that's the kind of tackle I would make if I didn't know I was on a yellow. But if I knew I was on a yellow, I'm not making that tackle. And to be fair, because I know you're very angry with him, so I'm going to try and play devil's advocate. I do think we often see our players make challenges where you go, they can't do that if they've already got a booking. So if a defender gets a card early in the match, you often hear even the commentators say they're going to have to be careful for the rest of the match, more careful than they have to be if they're not on a yellow. So I do believe 100% that players behave differently when they're not on a yellow compared to when they know they're on a yellow. So I at least understand what he's implying. If I knew I was on a yellow, I wouldn't have done that. That would be stupid, which we all agree with. And so I looked it up and I was like, what happens if a player just doesn't know that they're on a yellow card? Like, whose responsibility is it to make sure the player knows? And to be fair, it's fully 100% the referee's responsibility for the player to know that they're on a yellow card.
But that's why when you see it all the time, right? When referees are booking players, they are not allowed to book the player without the player acknowledging that they are being booked. That's why you always see them. You see players like run off and they call them back, and then game takes forever to start off because they're trying to book them. So I'm sorry, Neto, don't give me that crap. You knew you was on a yellow card. But the thing that will go for him, what referees do tend to do, because you always see them all the time, and I think this is something that he was gesturing to the fourth official, is that he hadn't committed many fouls, if any fouls, prior to that one, which means you see referees go when they've maybe done 2 or 3 fouls and they go, look, you've done 3 now. This is your last chance. You do one again, you will get a booking. So if he was committing maybe smaller fouls prior to that, referee would have gone, look, you're on a yellow card, mate. Calm down. Otherwise, you're going to get self-booked. So on that side, I can say, yeah, he probably hasn't been re-warned as the game's going on, but you're going to show me where he hasn't seen the yellow card, have you?
Yeah.
But that will it show the referee communicating it?
Yeah. I'm going to play it now. Well, I can't play it, but I'm going to click the thing so you'll be able to see it. So Sachin says the ref ensures that the players face them when they card, which kind of goes to what you're saying. So I thought this was a big pile of nonsense, if I'm being completely honest. But now I can't play it because copyright, but watch this. So you see here, the ref's walking towards him. This is him. I don't know who that is because it's very blurry.
I think that's I want to say it's Reece James.
Probably, to be fair,
like
probably. But so let's look, right? The referee's getting closer. Now they're zoomed in, okay? So as it stands, he's looking at him, right? But now watch. As he gets closer, so they're looking at each other, they're talking. He's claiming his innocence. Now watch, right? So the referee has the whistle in his mouth. You can see he's doing something at his side, but you can kind of pretend you didn't see that, right? Now watch. He covers his face, right? So at this moment in time, from his point of view, you can't technically see the yellow, technically, right? And then look at him. He's not looking. He has his hand up. He's talking to his teammate, and keep watching, right? So look, the referee is clearly trying to display. Reece James clearly knows he's got a yellow, but at this point, he has not seen the yellow card, okay? And you can see the referees, he might have just waved it in his face, but look, he point blank doesn't look at the referee. The referee takes the yellow card away, turns it back in his pocket, and at no point does he look at the yellow card. None. No point. So this is the other side of what we've just looked at, okay? So let me see, can I get... Right, so what he can see here is the referee has a whistle in his mouth, okay? Now watch, where are we? He's turned away. The referee's pulling out the card. He's not looking at him. He's absolutely... Look, he's not looking at the yellow card. Now, I believe that is absolutely 100% intentional.
Yeah, he knows. He knows he's got it. I mean, before he's turned around, the referee's half hand is up here with the card in his hand. It's just because he's not up here with it.
No. It's he turns before the referee takes it out of his pocket. He does this and turns around. So he knows it's coming, but he didn't technically see it. Sachin says, sorry, that's not on the ref. Neto was just stupid. I think Neto was stupid. And I think he was definitely aware of the card. But I think he can genuinely, honestly argue the point. I did not see the yellow. I wasn't aware. I didn't hear the referee, and he didn't see the yellow.
But that's like me going, the referee coming over, giving me a red card and going like that, I didn't see it, and then continue to stay on the pitch.
But if I'm the referee, and I'm being deadly serious here, because we know what players are like, if I'm the referee, I'm walking over and I'm sticking it in his face. I'm not letting him look away. I'm not letting him I'm not letting that happen. The referee
Yeah.
sat looking at him with his hand in the air like the Statue of Liberty. The referee can see him not looking at him. Okay?
Yeah.
If I'm the referee, I'm going, here you go, sunshine. And if you don't look at me, you're getting another one. He got 2 for dissent if he hadn't turned round. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
my thing is, Pedro Neto was being insolent. He was being ridiculous. But he can argue, honestly, I didn't see the yellow, because he didn't. He was aware of its
Yeah.
existence. He didn't see it. And so to me, while he's being ridiculous, the referee should have made sure he saw it, so it couldn't even be a conversation. But I did
Yeah.
find it very funny when I saw the footage. I was like, what? I had to look it up because I'd never heard of that before. Like, what happens when if they don't see the yellow? And then I saw the footage and I was like, right, well, he was very aware of the yellow, whether he
Maybe they
saw
need
it
to
or
get
not.
like yellow bands or something, and when they book a player, they got to tie a yellow band around their hand to remind them, because
Like what
clearly
you
they're
do
not
at,
capable of
at an
thinking.
all-inclusive hotel. You
Yeah,
get a different colour
a
wrist.
band, yeah, because they're not capable of thinking for themselves clearly, so they need a bit of help.
Honest to God. But to me, it just showed more insolence, which is what he was getting booked for.
Yeah,
But Sachin says players do it all the time. Neto trying to cover his tracks. Oh, 100%. Absolutely trying to cover his tracks. My point is, don't give him the opportunity. The referee, as much as Neto knows what's coming and looks away, the referee knows what Neto's doing. So you, as the referee, take control in that instance and tell him, turn around and look, or I'm actually just going to give you a second yellow right now.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because that actually happened Dallo before. Dallo got a yellow and then got a second yellow for the same argument because he didn't stop. So that's what I'm doing if I'm the ref. He wouldn't have even got to the tackle. He'd have already had 2 yellows with me. And Jenny is saying, don't mess with Lou. And what else? Sachin says, honestly, Neto should be banned for 2 games for that comment. Oh, for saying that he didn't see it. I mean, it's not funny, but it's so ridiculous. It's funny. Let me see. Dave Boy says, tie a yellow ribbon around the whole Neto. Right, what were people saying before that? Because we're going to come back to that, but I want to see what the people are saying as well. Will says, in future, just foul someone, then go like this. Can't card me. But this is the rule, because I read up the rules and it says that the referee is responsible for making sure that the player sees the card. So, do you know, now obviously if a player's doing this,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
yeah,
but,
he's not winning that battle.
No, but my point is the referee should have, instead of standing there like a statue holding it, go in front of him. Or was Reece James the captain on the day? Tell Reece James, who stood right beside him, have a word with your player or he's going to get a second yellow, because Reece James wouldn't have ignored him. Do you know what I mean? The referee has to take control of the situation. I agree, Neto was ridiculous, but the referee has to take control. Guess is saying, I'm not sure this will hold up in court. Correct and right. Will says, I can't see it. It doesn't count. What else? Sachin says, Neto may be 25, but he did not have the veteran showing him the ropes. Chelsea really missed the ball with their transfer strategy. That's a fair point. So he's not young in age, but he's young maybe in experience because he wasn't ushered through by people with the right mentality. Now, I don't know. You would know better than me.
Yeah, but he different standard of player, different quality of player, but he's not like he came through the youth ranks. Or we've bought him really, really young. We bought him at 24, where he'd already been a seasoned player in the Premier League at a Wolves team. Wolves, I think we got it from. So on that, I get it, and I fully agree that, and I've said this many times, we have done the young players and all these players a disservice, to not provide them with experienced heads to help them develop properly into footballers and give them a better platform to perform to the best that they can be. And that is completely down to the strategy. But looking at that list, it's not the incredibly young players that are causing us the problems that you would expect immaturity from, that you would expect these kind of silly decisions to be made because they are young. It's coming from the players that we look to provide some experience, which for us is quite small. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I said it's not the same standard, it's not the same quality, but it's still experience, right? So
Yeah,
regardless of the
he's not a
team, he's
child.
experienced the Premier League, which means he's experienced the rules, and he would have had older players in there to teach him the ropes, so to speak. It's not so much the standard quality, but we're not talking about the quality. We're talking
No.
about the decision making and
And
the
to be fair,
understanding of the game.
I take your point, because people talk
Yeah.
about immaturity, people talk about youth, people talk about, not being mature enough for the stage that they're on. But I agree
Yeah.
with you in terms of, it's not the young, immature players that are, it's the vim of youth making silly decisions. At 25 years old, he should know better, and he was ridiculous. But even that shows he's going like this to the referee.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It does, and I get it. And this is the fan bases, and this is exactly what it is. It's, we know who the problem is. We know what the problem is.
Yeah.
But and that is something that needs to be changed 100%. And I think every Chelsea fan is united on that. The top is the problem, but we've also got to look at the football and the responsibility of the players and the manager, because it's not just, they'd also need to take some responsibility in their action on the pitch, because at that point, when we get to a game and we are playing the match, it is the players that take that responsibility. And for me, when I look at Pedro Neto at his age, regardless of the standard and the quality, he is the one that the young players are going to learn from, because that's all they've got. And for a 25-year-old player, I don't expect him to make that kind of decision. I'm sorry. And he has, and it is a poor decision from him. And it's not the first time, clearly, that we've had these kind of decisions made from players. And I want to sit here and I want to say, I hope the board is going to change in the summer and they're going to do something different. But I can't even believe it when I say it. And that is the point where we're all at right now. It's, we want them out. We want change. We want something to just click in these Muppets to do something different. But I can't even believe it anymore that it's going to happen. And it's this end of season, it is going to be so hard, man. We've got Villa
next. To be fair, it's something I actually can relate to, like, as a United fan, where like the ownership are dross, and there's like, what can you do? I know people have ideas and like fair play to them for trying, but what can you actually do? Like, they're in charge. That's just the way it is. But that wasn't, while we're talking about the match, that wasn't the only thing that happened in the match. This is something that I found was really interesting. Now, it was a very minor thing. I don't think it had any impact on the outcome of the game, but it was something that I just noticed. This. What is this? Why does he keep, like, that's clearly not, that is not in the corner. I don't care about the overhang. That's not in the corner. My thing is, and it's just an example, and I'm sorry if Ray is still here. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pick on you. Ray is an Arsenal fan. But when you let any player from any team take these kind of liberties, it all snowballs. It's a little thing like they're allowed to wrestle in the box. It's a little thing like he's allowed to throw his hand in the air. It's a little thing like the corner doesn't have to be in the corner. All of the little things add up. We talk about, at United, our owners talk about marginal gains. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot of marginal gains going on. Now, as I said, I don't think it had any impact on the outcome of the match. It's the principle of it's one thing after another, after another, after another. They add,
you know what's crazy? I don't know if you heard, but they mentioned this in the commentary, saying that they have made the referee aware that Arsenal are not putting the ball on or having the overhang.
In the
they said this on the commentary. I want to say it was the fourth official. It might have been VAR, but someone was saying that to the referee that Arsenal are not putting the ball correctly, and it didn't change, which means he's been made aware. And again, I'm not using this as an excuse. He's been made aware, and he's chosen not to enforce it. He's chosen not to make sure that they are doing things correctly.
And that's what I mean. It's not about Arsenal or a specific team. Like Will's there is saying, interesting camera angle. I would say if you put a camera angle directly above that, there's a potential that there's a very, very tiny overhang.
Yeah.
Like there. No Man's Sky Clippy is saying, can we get a top view? I would say if there is a top view, because you can see from the angle, I'd imagine it is ever so slightly overlapping. This isn't a thing about Arsenal. My point is, when they let little things like this go in every single match, that is how you lose control. If you're like, this is the rule, but when we see it, when it's pointed out that it's not being done correctly, we're not even going to check it. I mean, why do we think the refereeing is so bad? Look, use your eyeballs. Come on, they've drawn the wee little semicircle thing for a reason. It's very clearly not inside it. He's more than capable.
As I said, the easiest way to stop that from happening is saying that the ball's got to be inside the circle.
Yeah,
then it stops it from happening. But they won't do that because that's too easy.
But it's not like he needs it. I mean, Declan Rice was taking this corner. Declan Rice can take a corner. If he moves it 2 inches to the left, he's still going to be able to take the corner. It wouldn't have made a difference. It's the fact that it's just another thing not being done properly. That's the point. And Sachin says the lino can catch this in 2 seconds. Exactly. Where is the lino? What is he doing?
But they're not. It depends on what side isn't he? Because if he's on one side, there will be a lino there, but on the other side, there won't be a lino because they go half to half, don't they?
What you mean. But so to be fair, as you said, the referee was told it made no bloody difference anyway.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's not a thing against Arsenal. It's a thing of if you let all the little things go, they become big things. But speaking more on Chelsea, but not about your match against. Actually, no. Sorry, I've told you a lie. I told you it was done. It's not. It's not over. I've one more thing, and then we're done. Next one.
False sense of security. You led me in there, Lou.
I did. I wrecked it. You were nearly out. You were so
brought me high to bring me back down.
And there's actually 2 more things. There's not one. I completely lied.
Oh.
This is why I have to make notes, because I can't remember anything I want to talk about. I get into a chat, right? So I come in, I have I don't make a list, but kind of an idea of things I might want to chat about. And then I get in and we start chatting. And I do this with Ash as well. And literally once the chat starts, or I'm reading the chat and I'm like, what was I going to talk about again? I get so distracted by myself. But 2 things. First thing, when you got the red card in the last match, it was Reece James was the player that actually made way. And that was met with an enormous amount of criticism. The last
the Burnley game where he got subbed.
Yeah. And that was met with an enormous amount of criticism because people were like, he was the only positive that was on the pitch. We understand you have to make changes after a red card. Why would it be him? I did notice that after this red card, he was not. He's made 2 substitutions. Reece James was neither of those players. Is that a sign for you that Rosselló, while he's learning, is learning? So he made a decision the last time. It didn't work. He realized it didn't work. When he was faced with the same decision, he changed it. So do you see that obviously the red card is a bad thing, but I mean, do you see it as something that he recognized he got it wrong after the last one?
He's obviously watching my match reviews. That's what it is. Because I rinsed him for that specific decision on Reece James. Now, I don't put it solely down to him. So Maresca suffered with this red card issue because, the majority of the red cards came under, his tenure anyway. Yeah. But how I see the Burnley game, the decision to take off Reece James was ridiculous because he is your captain, he is your leader. You don't take that player off. But the players he was putting on were experienced, if you call them. They're the older heads. So they should be able to see out a game, in theory, right? And after the game, he says, I've learned who players I can't rely on. And in the next match, he's kept his captain on the pitch. Great. Don't want to take him. And to be fair, we did play pretty well with 10 men. We were definitely giving it a go. So yes, he is learning, and this is the argument, and I think a lot of Chelsea fans will agree, and it's nothing against Rosselló because it's just, he's in this situation. Of course, if someone offered me the job, I'd take it too. You know, no one's going to turn down this
Yeah.
job, but we are in a stage now where we are, you know, a top club in the Champions League. We want to win all these trophies, and we're allowing managers to learn the trade on the job. Like, he's got no real top level experience, and this is what it come with. And to be fair, when you look across the board now, in terms of the top of the league down to the bottom, it's only really Pep and Arteta left.
Yeah.
And Arteta's not even an old head.
No.
He was like the start of the new age of managers. Once Pep leaves the league, there's no old heads anymore. That's it.
No.
It's all
It's a
new
new
age
era.
managers.
Yeah.
So all managers that are coming into top teams are going to be learning their trade now. It's going to be, I doubt we will see a big level coming through for a while now, because all teams seem to be going in that direction. And it's hard to take, because I look at it and go, if I had a more world-class manager, I do think they would get more out of these players. I do think that, because I still stand by, with the players that we have, player for player, individually, talent-wise, we are good enough to make top 5, top 4 as a bare minimum. I don't see the players not being good enough to do that. But they're obviously showing that, you know, the immaturity and stuff like that. But could a more world-class manager take them to that next level? I suppose we won't know, because we're not going to go for that type of manager.
As you know,
yeah,
I took a bit of a shine to Liam Rossegno when he came in. That hasn't worn off. I do think he's very much learning on the job. But I think when you see, like, quite literally a tangible piece of evidence from one game to the next, he made a mistake, he learned from it, he didn't make it again. If he does that with every mistake he makes, you're going to be laughing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
the
I
interesting thing that he's
risk.
the interesting thing that he's come out and said, and it's only recently, is that he's not really implemented the exact tactics that he wants and how he wants the team play right now. He's basically going game by game and adjusting his tactics to suit the team, which is pretty much what Maresca was doing every game anyway, because right now it's just about getting results. And I respect that, because all I want is results at the moment. I don't care how pretty the football looks. We can focus on that next season. Right now, we need to make sure we get Champions League football. However, it's starting to not work. So maybe he needs to change and actually start implementing what he wants and how he wants the squad to be. Look, there's definitely been some positives. Like, and I said this in my video, we are playing some nice football at times. The intricacy, the breaking of the lines. I mean, Santos for me has been one of those players that's been rejuvenated in the way that we move the ball in and around the pitch. We do create our own problems in overplaying, but we've always done that. However, playing pretty football and not getting a result is useless. It don't mean nothing. And that is the point we're at now. We can say that the football is looking good and that we are improving, but we're not getting the results. What's the point?
I agree with you. I think results first. Once you've gotten the results consistently, then you can start to make it look pretty. Completely agree. Because really, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the points on the board. Pretty is an add-on. I'm just looking there. No Man's Sky Clippy is letting us know that Real Madrid are 1-0 down against Getafe, which does bring me to speak about European football. You guys are going to play PSG.
Yay.
Well,
I actually wanted this game. I did want this game.
Why would you want this game, you absolute lunatic? But before you tell me why you would want to play PSG, you crazy man, let me show you what I've seen about this, because I think this is an actual compliment to you guys. So I saw this and I was like, what? TNT Sports, this is their official page. The league is cancelling games so they can compete in Europe. Now, at this point, they haven't specified which league. So I was like, we're doing what now? Who's doing that? The Premier League has never done that. Joe Cole and Peter Crouch share their thoughts on PSG having extra recovery time over Chelsea in the Champions League. So I'm going to play this for the people who haven't heard it before, and then I'm going to get your reaction to this massive compliment from PSG.
We've just seen that PSG have the French
Ligue 1.
Ligue 1 have cancelled the game, right?
Their league game, yeah. So PSG is supposed to be playing Nantes in between the two legs of that Chelsea fixture. So that's going to give them additional time for preparation. Now, Chelsea's game in between is against Newcastle as well. How much of an advantage does it give them?
That's huge. That's what I'm saying. That's Joe was saying there. It's touching on, you've got Sunderland, Bournemouth here, teams that, you know, maybe lower down teams, not as historically big in the Premier League, but it's so tough to play against, you know, and it's relentless. You know, Arsenal will be playing games consistently, tough games, and it's difficult when PSG, you know, the league are cancelling games for them to succeed in Europe. I mean, the Premier League it's never done that.
It's not uncommon. When I played in France and we had a Champions League game, they would often move the game, like it wasn't quite as cancelled it. They'd move it from a Saturday to a Friday or a Saturday to a Sunday, whatever benefit. Give you as much recovery as you could do, and it cost me mum and dad a fortune in trains coming over to watch us because they kept moving it.
There's just no time in the calendar for that to happen here, though, is there?
No.
For the Premier League to help the Champions League team.
Well, you know, it is relentless. I think, having said that, though, I do think Arsenal got one of the best squads, certainly in the Champions League. You know, in the Premier League as well. And I think if they keep everyone fit, they've got more than enough to fight on both fronts.
First of all, when he ends that, it sounds like they've got more than enough to fart on both fronts. He's obviously saying fight, but it did make me laugh. Also, I did see John Hassam is in the house. Big up to John Hassam. Notorious is saying PSG are mortified about facing the gargantuan mighty Chelsea. Sachin says, why are people piling on PSG for this? Ligue 1 is doing a good thing for their club. To be fair, I haven't seen anyone pile in because I didn't read any of the comments. I saw the video, thought it was very interesting, knew Kai was coming on tonight, and I put the puzzle pieces together. So there maybe is a pile on social media because there's always a pile on X about something. So probably what Sachin is referring to. What do you make of that? How do you feel about it?
To be fair, I'm not really fussed. I get the decision. I think it was a request from PSG to the league, and I'm sure something similar happened in the Club World Cup. I'm sure they had an extra day's rest in between before the final anyway. Do I care too much about it? Not really. I'm one of those people. Yes, recovery. Yeah, one of the recovery is good for the players, of course, but I also think, if we were to go play Newcastle and we were to go, you know, get the win, confidence is a great thing, right? So we could go and beat them, take that confidence into the game, and, you know, players will be more up for it than they already were. So it can go one of two ways. But I am looking forward to the PSG game. And before the draw was done, and I don't think I'm alone in this, a lot of Chelsea fans wanted PSG because they've done a lot of chat. They've done a lot of chat since the Club World Cup. And it got very heated at the end of the game. I don't know if you saw the Luis Enrique clips, you know, basically having a punch up with João Pedro at the end of the game because, you know, they got spanked, and will happen again. But this was coming, you know. I think they were coming out going, who do you want in the Champions League? PSG were going, we want Chelsea. We've got revenge. We've got, you know, something to atone for, you know. And for us, you know, another day in the office, same again. We'll just rinse and repeat what we did to them. So I think it is a good narrative. And one of the things that was mentioned about the Club World Cup, and a lot of people will poo-poo the Club World Cup. Of course, it's new, and we've won it, of course. So
yeah, well, it could be worse. Spurs
it doesn't mean anything now, but, you know, give it 10 years time, and it will be a different story. And other, you know, that's how new things
always
happens that way.
To be fair.
But one of the comments was made is that we didn't have a very tough run to get to the final. Like, we had an easy run, we got to the final, and we did the job. This time in the Champions League, we're going to have to go through the tough route. We're going to have to play the tough teams in order to earn that place. So it's an opportunity for us to do that, beat these teams, get to the final, go and win it again, and then people can't say nothing. And with Chelsea, and I would say a lot of fans that aren't, you know, outside fans that aren't Chelsea fans, that if you treat us as the underdogs, and if we
Well,
go into the
Sachin is.
game, there you go into the game thinking that Chelsea have got no chance, exactly how we went into the final and many finals prior to it. We thrive on that. And cup competition, if it was the league, different story. Because I find that our league form, regardless of what manager we have, is always up in the air. But in cup competitions, we've always been a nightmare to play against. Teams don't like playing against us.
Yeah.
So I go in with that confidence, regardless of how this season's gone. And I saw him mention Maresca, and I did actually mention this in my review after the Arsenal game. One thing I have to give props to Maresca is that he was not great against the teams we were expected to beat. But when we came up against the teams that were tough and they were, the top teams, he always used to set up tactically spot on. He always used to find a way to get the result. Rosinia's still learning that. He's had 3 opportunities against Arsenal. He's not managed to get anything out of it. He was beating the teams that we're expected to beat up until Leeds and Burnley. So now he's lost that. So he's got to find a way. So it's going to be a great opportunity for him. I'm really looking forward to the game. I cannot wait to play PSG again.
Now, this is my last question on this.
Their type of style does suit us. So, in the way that we play.
I have one question on this because, obviously you guys played before. It's a repeat of the Club World Cup. You guys had Maresca at that time. So when a team beats you, there is always this talk of like revenge. If we could go over, it was a lucky this was that. But whatever they have prepared, so if they go off how you played the last time and they prepare to kind of deal with those things, you don't have Maresca anymore. You have Rosenio. No. So again, they have no idea what they're going to face. Like, you guys can prepare for PSG better than PSG can prepare for you guys because they don't know what they're preparing for because of this change. So it actually might be to your advantage that you don't have Maresca because they don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, there are similarities in the way that Rosinia's got us playing to how Maresca was got in place. I mean, we still try and play out from the back. This was a big thing for Maresca. And we're still suffering with the same issues, giving the ball away needlessly and having Sanchez have his bozo moments, a little bit more regularly than he had been for the entirety of this season. But there is that element of surprise. Now, PSG will have enough sample size, in my opinion, from the beginning of January up until when we play them. He's had a good few games, so they can take bits and pieces out of it, but they're never going to get fully the way that we want to play. The biggest, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to give him any hints. I know Luis Enrique loves watching my channel, but
obviously
one thing that, it's like a regular evening watch with his meal. One thing that we do more of is we do like to play through the middle more often now, where a lot of Maresca was all down the wing. It was literally get the ball out to the wingers and try and get them to do something. We're not like that anymore. And one of PSG's biggest, attributes is their midfield. So are we playing into their strengths by doing that? Only time will tell.
But didn't Rosenio say that he likes to change the tactics depending on the team? If that's the case, he might change to go down the wings against the likes of a PSG. I actually like the manager that isn't afraid to change their tactics depending on the opposition, because I think that's adaptable. Like intelligent. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But
I think the problem with playing down the wings or solely playing down the wings is you do kind of isolate your best players. So, for instance, Palmer was generally playing through the middle. Now, albeit he's been poor this season due to injury and he's not managed to find his feet again. But you do know these type of players can turn it on in games of importance. And there's nothing to say Palmer's one of those players. He could have a terrible 60, 70 minutes and then suddenly just whip one in the top corner. He has the ability to do that. If you play out to the wing, we're relying on a Garnacho or a Neto or to produce a moment of magic. And if I'm taking my chances, I'll bet on Palmer every day. So, it's
which really was the question Sachin was asking, who's going to change the game? Because obviously traditionally that would be Palmer, but he's having a rough time. From he had the injury and then he came back too early. He came back when he was not fully fit. And then he was back out again and then he's back in again and he's not been right since. He
No.
come back
Well, he
too
pulled up.
early, and I don't care what anyone says.
He pulled up on Sunday, didn't he? He pulled up. I want to say in the first half, he pulled up. He sat down. He continued to play, but he
I
did pull
did
up
see
and hold his
that.
leg and sit down.
I did
So to
actually
me,
see
I would be very surprised if we see him against Villa,
Mm.
if I'll be honest.
And considering the way he's playing, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But what I want to do,
No.
lads, it is time for Premier League predictions. So I'm going to end the poll. Did you know Neto was on a yellow card before he received the second one, seeing as he apparently didn't know? And 67% of people did know that he was on a yellow, and 33% didn't. To be fair, I didn't. Actually, which is why I found it believable. Maybe he didn't either. But honestly, I was apparently just ignoring the referee. And just on the Real Madrid game, for those Liverpool fans in the house, Jenny was here a little while ago. Trent, stinker, and hooked. So it's not going any better for Real Madrid. But we are on to the Premier League predictions. Before we go to the Premier League predictions, this is relevant to when you are making your prediction. And it's a little chap by the name of Sene Lammens, who has been absolutely sensational. And as I said the other day on Don Hassam's channel, he is the difference between 15th and 3rd. Yes, we've Mbumo. Yes, we've Cunha. Dorgu was fantastic before he got injured. We have other players, Sesko obviously adding to that. But as far as I am concerned, this man, some of the saves he has made are the difference not only between draws but losses. He is definitely the difference between 5 to 6 places minimum in the league for us. So, just before we go any further, no keeper in the Premier League is preventing more goals per 90 than Sene Lammens. So there you go. Top there, Sene Lammens. Emmy Martinez.
Does it say how many, or is it just because I can't see it?
No, it
goals he's
doesn't say
prevented?
how many he's saved. I would say it's a lot considering how many chances we allow.
Yeah.
It doesn't say much for our defence, but my point is
That's
he's
what I was about to say, it's
preventing
like
them.
It's a damning stat for your defence, but a great stat for your goalkeeper.
Exactly. Because we do have else on the list. We have Emmy Martinez, Jordan Pickford, Bart Verbruggen, and Gianluigi Donnarumma. So I mean, obviously Lammens is facing an awful lot of shots, but he's saving them.
Doing his job. Yeah.
He's doing his job. And there is no way Onana is saving them. None. Onana's not going to be on this list. He's going to have let them all in or thrown them in by himself.
I have heard that he's just keeping the gloves warm for Onana, because Michael Carrick has said Onana he's the one, he's the chosen one. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
So,
well, did you hear
then,
that from Onana's agent? Because that's the only person who believes that.
Yeah, probably.
Honestly, do you know what the worrying thing is, right? I don't believe for a single minute anybody at United will bring Onana back. Nobody. I don't believe it, okay? I do, however, believe that Onana believes that. I 100% believe he thinks he is coming back to Manchester United to take his number 1 spot back, which tells me how delusional and psychotic he is.
Would you take him as a number 2?
Not on your Nelly.
Who is your number 2, by the way?
Binder, but we've sold him. Well, we're doing a deal. Hold on, I actually have the deal here for him.
Do you have a
actually,
Tom
just
Heaton,
while we're
am I
here,
just hearing that?
Tom Heaton's third. We still have Tom Heaton. He's third. Just on side note, the Arsenal set-piece coach Nicholas Jover's contract with the club contains a bonus clause for goals from dead ball situations. The 44-year-old would be rewarded for goals Arsenal score from set pieces. There's your answer to why they're so good at set pieces. Just so you know, gang. There's the French dude who is not in any way related to this guy, even though he looks like him. There you go. There's this is it here. I've got it. So 5.6 XG prevented. That's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty bloody good. But that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is this. Andre Onana's close friend, Jeremy, well, Jeremy needs to shut up. I know Andre very well, and during his time at United, there were a lot of things that were not right. Yeah, mostly his goalkeeping. It wasn't just him, and believe me, with the arrival of Carrick, things are looking good for everyone, including him. He is clearly talented, and his gifts are rare. I'll tell you what. This one I agree with. His gifts are rare. All the gifts. The next thing is for him to go back there and fight for his spot. Andre has always excelled when faced with a challenge. He thrives when he's given a fair chance to prove himself. Now, first of all, this is in the sun. Second of all, Jeremy doesn't know what he's talking about. Third of all, no chance. But Besiktas have reached an agreement with Manchester United to sign Altay Bayındır for €5 million. He will join the Turkish club as soon as the summer transfer window opens. What I reckon is going to happen with our sorry, I've seen Will's comment and it's thrown me completely. Things were definitely wrong. He kept diving the wrong way. Correct and right, Will's correct and right. But we have a goalkeeper called Vitek, who is out on loan at the moment. I reckon we're going to have him back next season as second choice keeper. Very good keeper. He's very good keeper. Very good keeper. I'll be more than happy to have him back as second choice. Onana in the bin. But what? Everybody's laughing. Oh, Flossie said his mouth is huge about Sene Lamans. And Dave Boy says, I want Onana back in the Premier League. He gave so much entertainment. Hopefully for Liverpool, Vitek will be number 2 next season. There you go. Me and Dave Boy on the same page. Guess is saying, I don't want to give Onana any attention whatsoever. I want to go back to forgetting he was ever in Manchester United. Dave Boy says we spent £50 million on Onana. Thanks, Ten Hag. We also spent £50 million after letting De Gea go for free. That's how stupid we were.
You guys made some absolutely terrible decisions under Ten Hag. Some of the players that you guys bought for the money that you bought them. Or, to be fair, though, Onana at AC Milan was a good keeper.
I'll give you that one.
I don't know what you guys did to him, but
he did it to himself. It was probably Jeremy. Jeremy got in his ear and look what happened. Jeremy wrecked the gaff. I'm blaming Jeremy. But that brings us on to the best part of the show. It's not you. It's not me. It's nothing we have said so far. It is the Premier League predictions. Okay, so it is 36 minutes past 9 at night. I've lost the plot. I need a cup of tea. We've got to get these done. Right, gang, lock in. Bournemouth, Brentford. What are we saying?
Brentford 3-2.
Ooh, straight in there. And you sound certain.
I do.
You know, Bournemouth are on a pretty long unbeaten run. The only Premier League team with a longer unbeaten run is Manchester United with 10. In fact, we have the second longest unbeaten run in Europe. Inter have 14 and we have 10. Bournemouth are just below us in the Premier League for unbeaten. Are you sure? I haven't peer pressured you? I like to just throw facts
and the thing is,
out there.
I don't want Brentford to win because they are now in the top 5 races. They're 2 points behind us. So I don't want them to win, but I feel like they're going to win.
Notorious. I absolutely had to get that in 100%. So you reckon 3-2 to Brentford?
Yeah, that's what I'm going
Notorious reckons 2-2. Dave Boy reckons 1-1. Wills reckons 2-2. Sachin's gone 3-2 Bournemouth. So we've 3 draws, 1 for Brentford, 1 for Bournemouth. What do I think? I think actually 2-2 is a good shout for this. I think Brentford could win. I think Bournemouth could win. I think it could be a draw. I think a lot of the games this week, and the same with the weekend games, we're getting down to the point where the games could literally go any way at all. Absolutely anything can happen. No result will surprise me going forward. Anything could happen. But as the chat have unanimously decided it's going to be a draw, we will go with a draw. But we will note that you believe it will be a Brentford win. I reckon a draw also. However, if I had to pick a winner, I would possibly go with Brentford as well, I think. I'm just feeling a bit Brentford at the minute. Yeah, I've got all the good facts. Not to worry. But Everton, Burnley. Everton have been on a fantastic streak since Jack Grealish got injured. They keep winning and winning and winning. Burnley, however, were sensational this weekend and got absolutely robbed. So either that's going to spur them on or it's going to completely demoralise them.
I'm going 2-1 Everton.
I can get on board with that because I think they're going to be demoralised. I'm with you. Gang, what do we think in the chat? Everton versus Burnley. What are the scores on the doors? I can actually hear the cat outside the door. Not very happy. She's like, let me in. She knows she's not allowed in this room. Like, even when I'm not streaming, she's not allowed in here because she just knocks things over. And then I come to stream late as per usual. And she has the gaff racked. So she's like, you done?
She wants to get score predictions in.
That's what it is. Do you know, I've got 2 cats, right? They sit and watch the football with me. And the different cats watch different matches. So one of them watches all the United matches with me. And I kid you not, one of them watches all the Arsenal matches with me. The one that watches United will also watch Liverpool. So I don't know what that says. But there's one, I have 2, like I said, 2 are sisters, but one of them only watches Arsenal. And when Arsenal's not on, she's no heed. The other one kind of watches a bit of a mix, which I find quite funny. But the scores on the doors. Sachin says 1-0 Everton. Dave Boy says Everton at home are not great, 1-1. Notorious says 2-1 Everton. And Wills says 1-0 Everton. So it appears that we're going for an Everton win. And we have 2 1-0s. So that is what we're going. What? I'm not a dictator. Who said I was a dictator? Look at me going with the gang. So Leeds United versus Sunderland. I think Leeds got done against City. I think they should have had a draw. I think they should have had a penalty right at the end. Daniel Farke obviously has his red card now. So he won't be able to be on the sideline, which I do think makes a difference. Sunderland have Xhaka back and seem to have found their mojo again. The way they were playing, they should have been 1-0 up against, was it Bournemouth they played? I think it was Sunderland, Bournemouth. They played very, very, very well. They should have been 1-0 up. It was all them at the start of their match. And as I said, they've Xhaka back now, and he does seem to be the difference maker for them. So, what do we reckon?
I'm going to say I think this will be a draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
Okay. I could see that.
2-2 or 1-1. Yeah. I think both teams
have
been pretty decent recently, but they both will score 100%.
The Newcastle and Mama Flossie is showing. Anything against Sunderland. She's ready. She's always ready for that one. But right, what are the crew saying? Sachin reckons 3-2 Leeds. Notorious reckons 2-2. And Wills reckons 2-1 Leeds. Luke likes the Arsenal cat. So draw, Leeds. You said draw. I reckon maybe a draw, you know. Leeds are going to not want to get drawn into the relegation because they're just above it, but they're not. There's not far away, and I reckon Sunderland, they played really, really well. So they did really well at the weekend because I watched that match.
Yeah.
I would probably go with a draw as well. Wills reckons 2-1 to Leeds. So that leaves Leeds is Sachin and Wills are saying Leeds. Flossie's saying Leeds. Dave Boy is winding Mama Flossie up. We both reckon a draw. So that's Leeds. Oh, and Notorious reckons a draw. So that leaves 3 draws. So that brings us to draw. So we'll go here because everyone's expecting goals. A fun one. Wolves, Liverpool. Now, I said a few weeks ago, Aston Villa were going to drop out of the top 5. I also said Wolves were going to beat Aston Villa. I was the only person that said it. I don't think they're going to beat Liverpool, but I don't think a draw would be mental.
Mm.
I'm feeling a draw, you know.
I'm not. I'm feeling a Liverpool dodgy 1-0 win.
Boo!
And I
You
want
have to
Wolves.
manifest these things.
I want Wolves to win. But
Right, so
yeah,
you
I
reckon
feel like
1-0 Liverpool, you reckon?
mm,
I reckon 1-1. I'm going with it. I'm willing it into existence.
I'll be happy if that happens.
Oh, that'd be great. Sachin, well, I need anybody that's near us needs to keep losing, including you lot. Sachin says 2-1 Wolves. Will says 2-0 Liverpool. Dave Boy says 2-1 Wolves. Notorious says 2-1 Wolves. No legitimate reason needed. Wolves are the best shit team to play in the Premier League. So underrated. Completely agree, Sachin. That's actually 100% correct and right. But it's unanimous for Wolves. So we're going 2-1 Wolves. Absolutely love it. I'm convincing everybody.
can save themselves. I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible, but imagine.
Maybe mathematically it might be, but it would be unreal if they somehow pulled that off.
Literally, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. But that brings us to you guys. Aston Villa versus Chelsea. And I am going to be consistent and fair because I nearly knocked everything over. I'm magnanimous like that. I believe you're going to beat Villa because I think while you are struggling a little bit overall under Rosanio, you have been quite good. He's had a bit of trouble with Arsenal, but overall you have been decent. And Villa are just on such a downward trajectory. They've fallen off a cliff. Their whole midfield is out injured. Their whole midfield is out. Unai Emery's losing the plot. He wouldn't even shake hands with Rob Edwards after they lost to Wolves. He did another disappearing act. So I reckon you guys are going to win this. And I actually reckon it's going to be 2-0 Chelsea. And I hope you lose because I need a gap, but I think you'll win.
I'm feeling a 2-1 Chelsea.
I was going to ask there. I was like, do you mean Chelsea? Do you mean Villa?
Yeah, I think you're right. They are on a downward trajectory. Yeah. And you could sort of say the same thing about us. But
not at the same rate.
A lot of the games that we've been losing have been against Arsenal. And if not against teams we're expected to beat, I don't think we'd be going into this game the same way as we'd be going into it against a Leeds or a Burnley. But yeah, I think we will have enough.
I reckon you as well too, to be honest. Sachin reckons 2-0 to Villa, so completely disagrees with us. Dave Boy says Villa are dropping Chelsea to win 2-0, and Wills is with you and says 2-1 to Chelsea. Sachin says, I don't know, Villa need to bounce back from the derby. They'd come back strong in this one. They are missing their whole midfield though, and they've been terrible for a few games now.
And I suppose you could say the same thing about us as well, though. We need to come back after the derby against Arsenal. So we're both pretty much in the same situation. While our players are missing because of red cards, not injuries. But
that's true.
It's a slight difference.
That leaves us with a majority going for a Chelsea win. And so let's go with 2-1 with you and Wills. We'll trust you. Brighton, Arsenal. Brighton had a really terrible spell and then suddenly decided they were going to be good in the last few matches. However, I don't think they're even going to touch the sides with Arsenal. I think it's going to be 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah,
I don't take pleasure in some of these predictions, but I'm trying.
Brighton, like we said earlier, they're just one of those teams you can never really rule them out, but you can also never rely on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 2-0 Arsenal.
Well, you and Wills are on the same track because you've predicted the same thing for the Chelsea match, and you have now predicted the same thing for the
Great
Arsenal.
minds think alike.
You and Wills are definitely on the same wavelength. So you're both saying 2-0. And Sachin says 2-1 to Brighton. If the Jekyll team shows up, they lose if the Hyde team shows up, which is completely fair because, as you say, you never know. Dave Boy says Brighton 1, Stoke 3. Will says, I doubt we'll score many. And Notorious says 3-1 to Chelsea. We're awaiting 2-2 for Arsenal. So Notorious is saying a draw. You and Wills and me and Dave Boy are going with an Arsenal win. And Sachin is going for Brighton, depending who turns up, which is fair. But I reckon that leaves us what's kind of a lot of people are saying 2-1. Right, so let's go 2-1. 2-1 to Arsenal. I reckon it could be 3-1, but I'll go with you guys. Fulham West Ham. Fulham have been doing really well. Really well. Okay.
2-0 Fulham for me.
But West Ham are they're the top. Yeah. They're 18th in relegation, and they're trying to claw their way out of it. To get out of relegation, they absolutely have to. They have to win. And I think sometimes the desperation can produce something unexpected.
Yeah, not for me. I think Fulham look good at the moment. They do look good. So for me, I think Fulham will. But Nuno's it's Nuno's still at West Ham, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or am I mistaken? Yeah.
No,
he has got them playing well. Like some of the results they've gotten have been unlucky in the way that they've been performing. But yeah, I think Fulham just look good.
They do. They look really good at them, to be fair. Sachin says 3-1 Fulham. Dave Boy says 1-0 Fulham. Wills says 1-1. Sachin says Fulham aren't keeping a clean sheet, but they're going to win this even without Wilson. And Notorious says 2-1 Fulham. So it looks like people might think Fulham for the win. I was laughing because I was trying to say to you about West Ham, and I could just see in the chat being like Fulham. I'm like, whatever. So let me see what's kind of the most popular score: 3-1, 1-0, 2-1. So kind of a lot of people are going for a 1-0 or a 1-goal difference. I reckon West Ham will score, so that leaves us at a 2-1. Now, City, Forest. Forest have Pereira, who is the reason that Wolves were on track to be the worst Premier League team ever. They're not now because Rob Edwards has dug them out of the hole. Pereira had worked previously with Marinakis. His first game in Europe, he 3-0, but then he's lost the 2 games since that in the Premier League. And again, look what he did to Wolves. So what do you reckon for this one, pal?
3-0 City.
I was going to say 4-1. So we're both going for a 4-game difference.
Yeah.
Sachin says...
Haaland to bag a hat-trick.
Potentially. Sachin says, this is going to be a 1-0 or a 5-0. City are due a battering. Love it. Dave Boy says, City 4-0. Will says 1-0 to City. Forest will defend well. So he's thinking of the goal difference there, if not the points. And Notorious says 3-1 to City. So we've all gone with the City win. 4-0, 3-1. I said 3-1. And you said 3-0.
3-0.
So we'll go with 3-0 because that's the most popular. This one here. Newcastle Man United.
It's Flossie in the chat. This one's for you, Flossie.
I think she's still here. Flossie doesn't do the score prediction. She keeps a note of it and puts it in the comments for us afterwards. So I hope she's still here.
2-1
I have to do my own notes. 2-1 Newcastle, the cheeky you.
Come on, the tune.
Yeah, but you're only saying...
I need United to drop points.
There you go. There she is. You're only saying that because you don't want to fight us for the top 5. We're in third and we're staying there.
They're due a turnaround though.
And well, there are 3 losses on the bounce at St James's Park.
That's what I mean. So they're due a turnaround. And they got some good players in there. Is Bruno available? Because
No,
it's going to be the battle
he's
of the
out till
Brunos.
April. Bruno G is
Ah.
out till April.
Right, I might need to change my prediction now.
Just saying. It's too late now. You can't back out now. You've done it. You should have asked that question first, silly Billy.
I should have. I jumped the gun.
You
Right,
did.
I'm going to stick with it. 2-1 Newcastle for me. I feel like they're going to get the result here, and Man United are going to drop
I
points.
think it's going to be a very difficult game. Very difficult game. And if I had no affiliation with either team, I'd probably go for a 2-2. But I think Man United at the moment are in better form. I think Bruno G makes such a difference. Such a difference to their team. I think Voltemada is not firing on all cylinders at the minute. They got another injury in their last match. They're fighting on all fronts. They're really struggling. And as I said, they've had 3 losses on the bounce at St. James's Park. So I think we're going to win 2-1. But I'm not confident about it. I'm not confident, but it's what I'm going with. So, like Flossie, I can't back my team to lose, which is, that's football. Sacha says, Voltemada is played out of position. I blame how? I blame GQ for putting him in them clothes. But so you reckon Newcastle, I reckon United, Wills reckons a draw 2-2, Sachin reckons 2-1 to Newcastle, Flossie reckons 2-1 to Newcastle, Notorious reckons 3-1 to Newcastle, away the lads, Dave Boy reckons could be close 2-1 United. So we're outvoted. We are outvoted. It is going to be put in as Newcastle 2-1. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think it's going to be United 2-1. But, fair enough. I bow down to the people. Now, another battle, but not for the good kind of reasons. Spurs and Crystal Palace. Now, they got Igor Tudor in as a calamity management, and it still looks like Basil Fawlty's running the place. It's just an absolute mess. But I did see rumours today that if he doesn't start winning, they're going to sack him even from being an interim manager. Crystal Palace are obviously going to feel hard done by after our match. And I have to be honest. They were the better team before the red card. If it stayed 11v11, there's every possibility they would have beaten us. Really and truly. But they've been so terrible. Glasner's been so crazy. But they could have beaten us. Spurs, they're fighting relegation. They're well and truly in the relegation battle. And if the likes of a West Ham can beat Fulham, if Leeds beat Sunderland or even draw, if Burnley can get something against Everton, all of which are genuine possibilities, Spurs are in a serious amount of trouble. They need a win. Having said that, I think these two teams have been so terrible. I think Crystal Palace used up, do you know when you get a second wind? I think they used up their second wind against us and didn't get the win for it. So I think like that, they're actually going to be demotivated. I think it's going to be nil each. I think it's just going to be dross.
I was going to say 1-1.
Nobody's expecting much from this, are they?
No. I've Palace win. That's what I want. But yeah, I don't. Palace. The thing with Palace at the moment, I agree on the second win thing, but the way it's all like falling apart with Glasner and the team and everything like that is taking a massive toll on the players.
Yeah.
But Spurs are so bad.
Yeah.
No, you know what?
2-1
Palace. 2-1 Palace.
You've talked yourself right in there.
Yeah, I did. The more I spoke about it, the more I realised how bad Spurs are. And I'm going with the 2-1 Palace. Spurs.
I love that. I love that. I often do that, just talk myself right as I'm saying things. And as Flossie says, both teams are a shambles. Completely agree. Sachin says Spurs are awful at home except when they play versus City. So what have the guys said? Sachin reckons 3-0 to Palace. So you guys are together on that one in terms of who's winning. Luke Watts is cheering Palace on. Wills is with me, reckons a 0-0 snore draw. Dave Boy reckons 2-0 to Palace. Notorious reckons 2-1 to Palace. Let Spurs enjoy the best stadium in the championship. Jenny has come back to see what the predictions are because it's the suspense. Everybody loves to know what the predictions are at the end. It's such good fun. But I think, right, so Palace seems to be the Palace Wells.
Yeah. Exhilarating.
Oh, it
I
makes
really
me
want to be
laugh.
staying up watching that one.
I'll be live. I won't be watching it. But I think we'll have to go by the voting with a Crystal Palace win. And what do we say? 3-1, 2-1? What do we reckon?
I think it's 2-1.
2-0. Yeah, let's go with 2-1. Okay, people. The moment of truth. If we get any of these correct, we don't have a good track record so far, but if we get any of these correct, this is what the table will look like. So.
Yay, we're back in the top 5. Woo!
Oh dear, right, let's go down to the bottom. We would stay third on goal difference, but this is what we're all looking at.
Tottenham still. Are they still surviving?
I tell
Still
you what,
not in
though,
there.
Leeds wouldn't be a million miles away, to be honest. It's 7 points, but I mean, it's so close. I think, and like that, we've put West Ham to lose. If West Ham win, and we put Forest to lose as well, although Forest are playing City, aren't they? Yeah. So unless they get some sort of miracle and even get a draw there, but unlikely. But West Ham could. West Ham are playing Fulham. I know Fulham are playing well at the minute, but if West Ham were to win, they would be on 28. It would actually take them out of the relegation zone because realistically, Forest are going to lose to City. If West Ham win, they're out of relegation. And only 1 point behind Spurs. I'm telling you, that West Ham Fulham game, I think that's going to be absolute fire because look what is on the line for West Ham. And I'm sure these two, Spurs and Forest, have to play each other before the end of the season.
Yeah.
So West Ham get 3 points against Fulham, and then these two have to play each other. A few at the bottom, I think. I looked at it on the last stream, but I forgot.
So they've got Palace next, obviously. Then they've got Liverpool. Then they've got Forest. Then Sunderland, Brighton. Then Wolves, Villa, Leeds, Chelsea, and Everton. Oh, they ain't got a very nice run at all.
I really think they're going down. Do you know that? The more it goes on, the more I think they actually truly might.
Because if they don't pick up points against Palace, their next 3 games is Liverpool, Forest, and Sunderland. You can argue maybe Forest, but I don't think they're picking up points against Liverpool, and I don't think they're picking up points against Sunderland.
No.
So if they don't pick up points against Palace, they could go potentially another 4 games without a win.
They really could be relegated. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I saw Jenny saying ouch, and I wasn't sure why, but it's because Liverpool would fall out of the top 5. On goal difference, a lot of goal difference, to be fair. That's a lot of goal difference. But take solace in the fact that we never get these right, Jenny. Don't worry about it. Let me see. And no, this is our last update. So we have been given an update on the Madrid game the whole way through, so we might as well finish with the updates. No Man's Sky Clippy says, Mastantuono got a straight red in the final minute of injury time, and Guest says, the amount of cards in the Madrid game, City could really do a number on us if they get under our skin, which seems easy these days. So there you go. That might be of interest to you. That's in the Champions League. Not to me, not this season. But guys, gang, family, friends, cult members, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Some unbelievable football coming up in the next few days. I look forward to talking about it with all of you. 11 cards. What
That's
in the
ridiculous.
name of God? I'm going to watch the extended highlights for that match. Have a good evening, folks. Enjoy the rest of the week. I will probably be live at 7 o'clock for the next few days because obviously we don't want to miss any of the matches. Thank you for being here. Sam, right at the end, is in here. Have a good one. Thank you for being here. Smash the like, share with your friends, and yeah, have a good one. Enjoy your week. That's it.